Airlines have canceled more than 700 flights in the U.S. as the travel apocalypse is upon us. However, maybe Trump will finally convince the Republicans to end the filibuster, and then they'll put a stop to this government shutdown madness, because I am not playing these games anymore. Certainly, Democrats are trying to extend ACA benefits to non-citizens. Fine, they could simply give the Republicans the votes they need, but Trump is right, and Republicans could end the filibuster at any moment and push through his agenda, but they don't do it. This is not good news as far as I'm concerned, because the American people voted for the Republicans to get the job done, and they're choosing not to. So what excuse are they going to have come the midterms? Now, between now and then is an eternity, so we'll talk about this and a whole lot more. We got a bunch of other news. Interestingly, there's a rumor going around now that the elections this week rigged. Oh, yeah. But you knew this was going to happen. It's starting light. They're saying something seems strange about these numbers. And they're pointing out the weird shifts that are solely in urban centers. And they're deeply concerned about Jay Jones in Virginia, who was projected to lose. He's above. He's got more votes, and then it just flips. And everyone's pointing out, hey, 2020 all over again. But who knows? There's a reason Democrats to vote for Democrats. So we'll talk about that, a bunch of other stories. It's going to be a lot of fun. Before we get started, we got a great sponsor. It is Beam Dream. Head over to shopbeam.com, my friends, /Tim Pool, and pick up your Beam Dream, your nighttime sleep blend. Helps you sleep better. I drink this stuff every night. I swear by it. It is delicious. It's got melatonin, magnesium, L-theanine. It is fantastic. And right now, you will get their early Black Friday sale, 50% off. I really do think it's fantastic. And this is legit. I do drink it every single night. My sleep improved. I didn't even know it could improve. And now for the past several months, I've been having consistently good sleep. And you guys know that I recently had a baby. So that's pretty impressive. Good stuff, Beam Dream. Don't forget to also check out Timcast.com. Click Join Us in the menu and get involved in our Discord community, because community is our strength, and together we will be unstoppable. We got tens of thousands of people that are hanging out. In fact, as of the recording of this episode, they're hanging out in the backstage listening to us riff and play music and prepare for the show and talk about what's going on. You can join that by going to Timcast.com, getting involved now. As a member, you support the work we do, you make it possible. And more importantly, you form a community with other people, and that makes it harder for them to defeat us culturally. Don't forget to also smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more, we got Bryan Callen.
Yes, sir. Good to be here.
Who are you? What do you do?
Been a fan for a long time. I'm a comic, guys, and an athlete, and a lover.
Here we go.
And a man, and a citizen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look at the, where's my camera?
I do know what you're saying.
Where's my, look at, there it is right there. Look at the intensity of my eyes. These cans really bring out my nose, I hear.
It's true.
It's fantastic so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, only you would get me on a plane at 1:00,000 or whatever it was. I had to wake up, and then I had to take a long drive out here. But I feel like I'm in sort of the sticks in a good way.
In a good way, and the threat of this flight shutdown, it's massively impacting the D.C. area particularly. Yeah. But the other day when I was mentioning it, I said Bryan Callen's a genius. He's a smart guy. I mean it. When I was on your show with Brent Schaub, I was just sitting there being like, this guy's smart.
Really? I felt the same way about you.
Right actually. On. We're gonna have a smart conversation.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm smart. I'm just old, so I've got good pattern recognition, and I've read a lot, and that might
be. Deeply impressed. I think we're gonna have a great conversation on all these issues. So it's awesome to have you in studio.
Good to be here, buddy. I've been a fan a long time.
Appreciate it.
I've liked you from. I remember when I always watched you because you were this voice of reason, and you were always kind of taking it to people. You had the energy to kind of. You had that rare quality of not worrying about being liked, which I loved. And then when you did Rogan with Jack Dorsey and his safety czar, or whatever the hell,
yeah,
and you ended it, they were kind of convincing me. I was like, yeah, maybe the world's good, and you just went. I think it's dangerous. I think what you're doing is dangerous, and I'm just not happy with it. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, it was the general question was who appointed you the arbiter of morality for 100+ million people to decide what issues qualify and don't. And but we'll get into the news. We got Tate hanging out.
What's up, guys? Tate Brown, you're holding. I don't know, Phil, maybe we should glaze each other a little bit too. Phil, I love All That Remains. I think it's the best band in the world.
Thank you very much, Tate. You have a great smile, and I really appreciate you.
That's a good voice, bro.
Thank you.
Your voice is grounded. There's a lot of soda in your voice.
There's a lot of soda, and there was probably 3 decades of Marlboro Reds.
Damn right.
Too, so
I appreciate a man who smokes nowadays, like Joe Schilling, you know, the kickboxer.
I miss it.
Lit up, dude, just lit up, lit up a Marlboro Red. I was like, what a man.
Maybe the reason guys are so scrawny and pathetic is they don't smoke anymore.
Maybe.
True.
They got to drink and they got to smoke.
Drive a little too fast.
Yeah.
Tate Brown holding it down. Hello, everybody. My name is FILIBUSTER. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Let's talk about my awesome voice some more.
Let's jump into the news. We got this from CNBC. Airlines cancel more than 700 U.S. flights as FAA ordered shutdown cuts begin. And, I'm of two minds on this one because IAD, DCA, those are our airports. Mm-hmm. We could technically do Baltimore, but it is like an hour 40 from us, so it sucks. But they're going to be hit 20%. And so this shutdown is bothering me because we're going to have trouble with our guests. We've got tomorrow for our live show, we've got like 6 people that are flying in. And I hope that those flights don't get canceled. It's going to really screw up our operations here. That being said, initially, it was obvious. Democrats in the shutdown were saying, we want to extend ACA benefits to non-citizens, DACA recipients, asylees. Republicans said, well, they're illegal immigrants. They said, no, they're not. However, at every step, Republicans could have ended the filibuster.
Yep.
And they're choosing not to do it. And Trump is saying they should. So the funny thing is Democrats coming out and saying this is Republicans' fault because they could end the filibuster. And I'm like, Democrats, I agree, Trump, do it. Or John Thune, do it. Yep. And they're not doing it.
My worry is that I get these instincts and I think to myself, I'm not hearing enough from Republicans. Like, you guys got to start talking to regular Americans about the economy. You better start talking. You better let that transgender stuff, let that go for now, okay? Because what I care about is inflation, is the price of things. And if Americans feel uneasy, which we're starting to feel, and you're not talking to us and letting us know that there's a plan. And I'm not saying they're not, but it's the feeling I get. I'm just not getting enough of that communication. That's why you're going to start losing elections. That's a problem, man. Don't blow this advantage.
I think you're 100% right. I get a lot of people in my mentions on X and stuff, and they'll be like, this issue, that issue. Donald Trump hasn't produced enough, hasn't deported enough people. He hasn't brought indictments against enough people. They haven't released enough information on this particular issue or whatever. And I'm like, look, these are all important to a narrow segment of the population. They're very important to a narrow segment of the population. But if you want to win elections, you have to focus on kitchen table issues.
Correct.
We had significant double-digit inflation just a few years ago, and inflation is a leader. Wages take time to catch up. The administration needs to articulate that. They need to tell the American people that they're aware of that they're aware that they're struggling. They can't. Donald Trump just the other day was saying, the economy's the greatest, blah, blah, blah. And if people don't feel that,
it's a problem.
And they hear the people in the government saying that, they feel like they're being told that their issues don't matter to the people in the government, and that will lose you elections. They need to address these.
I'll give you a metaphor for this. We have to get away from these sort of like colorful enemies. It's very fun to create. Look, Captain America, we want to watch Captain America kill Nazis with his shield. The joke is, but it's true, if you really wanted to save Americans, you got to tackle diabetes.
Yeah.
But you don't want to watch a movie where Captain America is telling Americans that they're eating too much sugar with graphs. You can't use your shield, man. But that is actually what Republicans have to start doing. I don't want to hear about the toxins in my food. I want to hear about the fact that people are eating too much, if you really want to get to the subject.
Here's the problem. We had this guy on Mark Grimes. He's a Canadian guy. Mm-hmm. And he said, no, we need good trade between America and Canada. We're the best trade partners. And I said, nope, tariffs are great. Double all the tariffs. Shut it down. And he said, you guys rely on trade from us. You need our aluminum. And then I said, we can get aluminum in the United States. We got bauxite mines in Arkansas. And then he's like, well, but you can't get all of your aluminum. So I looked it up and he was correct.
Yeah.
We cannot get all of our aluminum just solely in the United States. So then I said, okay. I was like, what mines does Canada, like, the question is, why would Canada have more bauxite than we do on the same continent? They don't. They have none.
They have none.
They have none. And so here's what happens. The United States gives away our aluminum refineries to Canada for no reason at all.
Yeah.
I was going to swear because it gets me riled up. No reason. And then we have to negotiate with them on a resource we could refine here. They import it from China, Brazil, Guinea, Australia. We could just import it ourselves, and our aluminum would be cheaper, and American lives would be better. This game they're playing is extract the U.S. economy and value and give it to other countries to normalize economies.
Is that what's going on?
The general idea is with the North American Free Trade Agreement, now the USMCA, the moneyed interests wanted to normalize the economies between North America, Canada, and Mexico, which effectively makes an economic bloc. It makes governance somewhat easier. It makes the exchange of goods much more, they can move more easily, because if the labor for a farmer making avocados in Mexico is comparable to a farmer in the United States, trade can be more seamless. The problem is if the labor is worth less. So we're going to import our slave labor from China. We're going to send our products to China for refining, for manufacturing, bring it in here at slave rates. But North America, we're going to equalize. This means the United States is going to go down. Canada and Mexico are going to go a little bit up. Mm-hmm. That's a ridiculous prospect.
And the argument would be, people would say, look, you can buy a flat screen TV for $200 now when it would have cost $1,000 because everything was made in the United States. But you got to go back to this. Yes, maybe when you have Walmart and they can sell everything for a lot cheaper, you'd still pay a price for abundance and efficiency. And that price sometimes can be the death of a town. So you got a lot of stuff, but nobody's got a job.
Yeah, well, that was the riff.
So real, just to finish my point on the tariffs. We were talking about the economy. So I do believe the tariffs are having a negative impact on prices. Mm-hmm. Like prices are getting bad in a lot of areas. The problem is the point you made about Captain America and diabetes. If you go to the American people and say, if we do not stop this free trade exportation system that we have, as you mentioned, you will have cheap milk with no job and no money.
Right.
And you won't be able to buy your cheap
milk. You got to tell me that. I need more communication from...
I agree, but I got to tell you, I'm standing next to Zoran Mamdani, and I say, listen, if we put tariffs now, your prices will go up a little bit, but over the next 10 years, you're going to have substantially more buying power and homegrown products, better jobs, better money. And Zoran goes, I'll give you the milk for free.
Yeah.
Guess who wins the election?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, again, that's probably because people have bought into what they were sold, probably mainly from the boomer generation, and it hasn't worked out. You got student debt. You can't afford your rent in New York City or wherever it might be. The other thing to keep in mind about New York City and Zoran Mamdani is that New York City, and my family's from New York City. It used to be a city of families. Middle class, it was a neighborhood. You had neighborhoods. People made an honest living. The average rent was like $600 to $1,000, whatever it was. And it became slowly but surely a city full of people who support the economy, so workers who make very little money, and then primarily foreign money, a lot of foreign money, a lot of Asian money, Russian money until recently, etc., and a bunch of yuppies who don't have children, who are not married. And so the things like crime and the price of milk aren't really that relevant to them. This is a place they come to find a husband or a wife, and they're going to leave anyway. This is a place where they hang, they drink too much, they spend too much time at night. It's a great place to be young and rich and professional. Okay, so all of those issues that Mamdani is going to mess with aren't really going to affect you. Crime, I'll take a taxi. I'm not worried about the subway, et cetera, et cetera.
If you're rich.
If you're rich.
Yeah.
So this never would have flown before, but now.
Well, that's what you saw. The exit polling is native-born New Yorkers voted overwhelmingly for Cuomo.
Yeah.
It was the transplants and immigrants that voted heavily for Mexico.
You know what percentage of New York is native-born? 30.
Yeah,
yeah.
20-30%.
That makes
and I think 48% are American-born.
Yeah. Well, and it's this new form of transplants, too, because prior it was the yuppies, the stereotype, like Patrick Bateman stereotype. Mm-hmm. But now they're calling them yuckies, as young creatives. Yuckies. And it's these people that live, it's a very on-the-nose name. They live in Bushwick, East Williamsburg, Clinton Hill, these sorts of neighborhoods. And they're not really these upwardly mobile, professional suit and tie wearing people. These are people that wear tote bags. Mm-hmm. They love Zoran. That branding really resonates with them, and so it's a completely different type of leftism.
I'm gonna call them Yucca.
Yucca.
What's Yucca?
Young urban communist assholes.
But yeah. So,
Also, if you've ever had yuca, it is delicious.
Are those people
is.
likely to stay in New York long term, or they're going to be they're?
but it's weird because they didn't move to New York because of the job. Like this is what separates the yuppies from the yuckies. Is the yuppies were in finance or whatever, they had to move to New York, and then they just got into the vibe once they got there. The yuckies dream of Brooklyn. They dream of like a crappy apartment building with the fire escape.
Yeah, because they don't have to come in contact with objective reality.
Right.
You got a whole generation of people who've never been punched in the face figuratively and realistically. Like, there's something about working with your hands and having to make ends meet, build a business, build a brand. You can't afford to be theoretical. There's a bottom line every single month.
You know the problem is that bullying is good, but some of it went too far.
Yeah.
And so the bullying where they were physically disabling and harming children to the point where they had permanent injuries is like, holy, that's got to stop.
Yeah.
But the bullying where the other kids would make fun of you because you had a goofy shirt on was good.
Right.
Yeah.
And now we were like, no bullying at all in any way. And kids grow up soft as cookie dough.
That's right.
And terrified of everything around every corner.
Yeah. I will say I have a 14-year-old son. A lot of that stuff is changing.
Sometimes you just got to whack him. Right?
I do this joke, but it's true. My daughter got caught in one algorithm. She's 17. And, she can argue with you on different levels. It's unbelievable. But she's essentially a socialist. Thank you, TikTok. My son is just a tad to the right of Genghis Khan. Okay? And so are his friends, dude.
Yeah.
So are his friends, because what happened was, and it was predictable, he was told he checked a dominant cultural box. He was the problem. He was the patriarch. He was the oppressor. And boys are very good at organizing and fighting back, and they have a sense of humor, but they're also vicious, and they have an inherent understanding that the world's a kick in the nuts, and you better start simulating that experience, or you're not going to be able to fly in this world. Because I think men and boys in general, we tend to, if a SEAL Team 6 guy comes in and he's got some battle scars, all of us we all just kind of go, hey, there's daddy. That's the alpha. I'll follow you in the battle. You know what I mean?
To some degree, but I think.
I'm a little gay, so that's what I said.
Right. But I also think
Daddy's
there's a large portion of guys where it's like there's some dude who's a contractor, plumber, and he's got a big belly and he's sitting there at the table and he's with his buddies, and then the SEAL team guy walks in and he thinks, I could take him.
Yeah, of course. Now, again, I had this another joke. I always say this, and it's so true. When a man meets another man in a room, there's all the protocol. Hey, how you doing? But it doesn't matter how educated. It doesn't matter how. The only question in the room, actually, the first time you meet a man is, could I kill this motherfucker? Right? Like, if we're naked in a room, who walks out first?
Well, so the thing is, I probably shouldn't reveal this, but I think it's fair to. We're in a room here full of guys. Women don't understand. When men meet other men and there's no women around, they first wrestle.
Correct.
To determine who's in charge.
Women don't know about a lot of things about men. Like we have sperm cramps. They don't know about that. They have no idea.
Sperm cramps?
Oh, it's
never heard of that, bro.
You got to go to the doctor.
That's why he's been grabbing his dick
The
the whole
worst.
time.
Yeah, it's the worst. And yeah, we have to go through it. And women just don't understand. They don't know.
Guys
I don't either, but that sounds good. Sperm cramp.
When a man meets another man and there are women present, they shake hands. And the woman doesn't notice, but they're eyeing each other.
Oh, dude.
Mess you up.
There's even the head nod. It's you head nod down as respect, head nod up as I know you, or let's fight.
Yeah.
Even within the head nod.
By the way, I'm always I go to Archetype Boxing in Austin. I box and I do this jiu-jitsu. It couldn't be. It's basically a bunch of straight guys that are a nose hair away from banging each other. I mean, you know what I mean? I'm the other day I was working takedowns. I had my buddy's back, and he's like, okay, stay on his back. Put your ear on the middle of his back. Get your hips close to him. I'm like, this is
It's aggressive cuddling in pajamas.
As gay as it gets.
It's like one
Aggressive
beer
cuddling
later,
in
it's all
pajamas.
over.
Dude, let's stop pretending.
I'll say this though about your daughter and your son is actually I think the difference is not so much that the algorithm. I do believe the algorithm puts people in places.
Yeah.
But in my experience, women want status quo. Men they challenge status quo.
Yeah.
Not absolutely, but
They do.
I worked for a nonprofit where all of the managers were women, and their revenue was down, and so they said just keep doing what we've always done because it's just a downturn and it worked before, it'll work again. And I said, you're insane. You are going to go out of business before any recovery happens, and we have to change what we're
Hold
doing.
that thought, because I want to bring it back to what you said about bullying. Part of bullying, what you just said, is exactly that. When men are together, you have to have a bully who says, hey, dude, what you're doing is ridiculous. You're a moron. It's not working. And if you can't take that criticism, you're off the team. Think about every good old boy network that people criticize. You know what the good old boy networks created? I don't know. Tech, Hollywood.
Yeah.
The physics renaissances that gave us all, that pushed us way beyond our biology. That when men get together, what happens is they are ruthless with each other because the only thing that matters is results, bitch. And if you have a problem with that, you're off the team. Well, look at a football team. You think they're nice to each other? You miss that pass. You ever see Dan Marino when his receivers would miss a pass? The dude would just look at the guy. This is like one of his best friends, and he'd go, are you kidding me? Fucking kidding? You dropped that pass? Like he just and
he'd go like
that's,
this. Like,
that's how you get better.
Yeah.
You know, you think it was fun to play on Michael Jordan's team?
Without that input, right? So you're in a team situation or whatever. Without the input, the feedback from doing something wrong, people don't think that it's that big of a deal. You can't just be like, oh, you dropped it, it's okay, you'll get it next time. No, there has to be negative consequences.
Yes,
that's what motivates people, and particularly people that are highly motivated. You want strong affirmation that this is unacceptable.
Correct. And by the way, you don't get good at anything without sucking for a long time.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't care.
Not me.
You are different.
Always good.
Tim,
Everything.
Tim's got magic fingers, by the way. He was shredding a guitar. Tim, I walked in
I was
and
kidding,
Tim
by the
Pool
way.
was
I practice a lot.
He was actually singing a song. Your voice is nice.
Angelic, they say.
I was going to say, dude.
Sultry.
It was angelic. You know what? You know what you did? Your voice sent me. And I never say that.
I was singing the Iron and Wine cover of Such Great Heights by the Postal Service.
Is that true?
That's what I was playing when you walked in. Yeah.
Postal Service is a good band. Good stuff.
Yeah, but the bullying, the football thing, I got a little out of control. It was like second string linemen were like Richie Incognito. Like, wasn't he like the backup left tackle?
No, may I tell a story about Richie Incognito?
Of course, please.
I got a story about that guy. Now, he is a blonde silverback. Okay, if a silverback's in the room, he's gonna take a minute and he's gonna go, I'm gonna have my hands full with that guy, because Richie Incognito, and I didn't know he was a football player. I was at the Playboy Mansion. Now I shook his hand. When I shake a man's hand, my hand goes around your hand. Please understand that this part of his hand, the meaty part here, look at my fingers. I didn't go all the way around. There's only one other person. There was a Samoan that happened. He makes Samoans look demure. Okay, and I looked at him and I go, what do you squat? And he goes, my knee's acting up right now, but I put up some weight. I go, give me the number, please. He goes, most said it was 805. Now hold. And he's a great guy, but he was always known as the guy who would beat the shit out of everybody on the team. Okay,
Right.
you're not. You do jiu-jitsu, that's adorable. Then there's Richie Incognito.
Right.
He's not hearing a peep out of your kung fu, your jiu-jitsu, your Muay Thai. Don't try. And so I'm with my buddy. And he was a famous actor at the time. And there's a guy who's about 180 in a tank top at the Playboy Mansion. And he keeps coming up to Richie Incognito. And I clocked it because the guy came up and his eyes looked weird. And he kind of was a little too close to him. And Richie's talking to him and kind of turned on, yeah, like that. And then I'm talking to my buddy. And my buddy goes, Jesus, like that. And I look over. And you're going to think I'm kidding. And this is in the Playboy Mansion, sir. Richie Incognito's got this guy over his head, and goes, boom, and just drops him. And he hits his back, and the guy goes, boom, like that. And he just goes, and somebody helps the guy up, and he's kind of let off. And I was like, what happened? He goes, guy's getting a little,
Right.
get a little jumpy.
Yeah.
It was in his face. And
A little jumpy.
yeah, there are some men who are just, that's
They
the
just
alpha.
pick you up, at any slight. They just pick you up over their head.
Let's jump to the story from Town Hall. There might be something odd about New Jersey's election results. Town Hall, just say it. Say you think the election was rigged. They highlight a few points where, one, all the polling was off. I can imagine if you're a pollster, they really got this wrong, and they've increasingly got it wrong. They're all basically worthless at this point. But you also have this map, this swing map. They're calling the strangest swing map ever. And it's because in the deep urban areas, the swing was massively towards the left. So, of course, the insinuation, 500,000 new voters just appeared in New Jersey from 2021 to 2025. And how did that happen? Well, it may be fishy. When you take a look at the data from Jay Jones's election in Virginia, he was winning. He was winning even better, and then all of a sudden, whoop, it flipped, and that was it. Some have said in Virginia they brought in something like 300,000 mail-in votes overnight. So kind of like Joe Biden. I will say this: I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out Democrats cheated, but I can explain where those 500,000 new voters came from. New York.
Well, I would say this.
They left New York. They went somewhere.
I'm not at all. I don't smell a rat here. I have skeptical hippo eyes over this article because here's the thing. Virginia always historically has always voted Democrat when there's a Republican in office, if you look that up. And also, and I think Jersey's the same way, but more importantly, these candidates were, whether they're moderate or not, were posing as moderates.
Yeah.
They stayed very quiet on the trans issue and these cultural issues that kind of swing elections. And that was on purpose because what they were told by strategists was do not bring up things that are triggers like the trans issue. If they bring that up, stay quiet, which was exactly what they did. And they steer to the economy, inflation. And Americans, again, this is an example. Americans feel insecure. They're not being communicated to. Republicans cannot rely, number one, on being allied with Trump. That's not going to work anymore, guys. You got to figure out a way to talk to your voters and make them feel like there is sunlight on the horizon. You cannot be, worrying about them, nobody gives a shit anymore. What I care about is my kids can go to baseball because I have extra income, etc.
But I gotta, look. I went. There are no kids. I'll keep it simple. There's no kids. So I understand you have kids. I went back home for the 4th of July, and the baseball fields were empty, and nobody was outside, which is insane.
Wow.
When I grew up in my neighborhood by Midway Airport in Chicago, same neighborhood as Jimmy Dore, by the way. Yeah, this is kind of a crazy story.
Plot thickens.
He lived 3 blocks from me.
Did he really?
Yeah, very weird.
You didn't know him?
No, because he was 30 and I was 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Now he's 80. But you'd go on the 4th of July, every block would have a de facto block party. Kids were blowing stuff up in the morning.
Yeah.
And then you'd go to the park and there's baseball games and hot dogs. I went back home. No one anywhere.
Why?
No one has kids.
Damn. Think about that.
Gen Alpha is 42 million. That's half the size of Gen Z or the millennials. And I watched this. There's this documentary called Birth Gap. I recommend you guys check it out. It's on YouTube. It's free. Where he points out in the data the exponential collapse of population. The point being that the factors that are causing women to be childless have resulted in a Gen Alpha that is half the size of Gen Z or millennial.
Wow.
And those same issues will affect Gen Alpha.
And by the way, what you're saying right now is just like diabetes. You want to talk about the real enemy, the real problem? We're not having enough kids.
Here's what it means. If we're seeing an exponential decrease in children to the point where in one generation we now have half the size, Gen Alpha, it's going to be less than half. Wow. So that means Generation Bravo, so Gen Z is going to have kids, and they're probably going to have 40 million. And then Gen Alpha will have kids, and it's going to be 10 million.
That's a huge problem.
This is why Democrats are trying to flood the country with non-citizens.
Well, also, by the way, you're going to have the same problem in Europe. Europe they stopped having kids 30, 40 years ago, and now look where they're at. And now they have to import their labor. They have to. And where do you do that? Well,
sometimes you have to. I mean, Japan, they just elected a prime minister. Japan has the worst birth rate crisis in the world outside of South Korea.
Actually, South Korea.
South Korea is the worst, and Japan's a close second. But their new prime minister came in and said, I'm voted on the mandate of we would rather run our population into the ground than change the composition of the country from Japanese to non-Japanese.
Think about that for a second. This is what happens when a society values production, money, and all those things over everything else. We're going to make all these sacrifices. I'm going to have one kid. I'm going to have no kids, but I'm going to be rich. And it's so interesting to me. Guess what? Going back to your tariffs, going back to America First, going back to the idea of traditional values, you better start having kids. Who said it? I think it might have been Charlie Kirk who said, have more kids than you can afford. And you'll never regret a baby. I've got 4 kids. And
nice.
I know.
And you only regret one.
I only regret one. Now, the point of that whole story is I pack heat, and I'm going to show you what I'm working on. It's not that kind of show. It'd be funny if I wasn't wearing pants. But,
It'd be terrifying.
it would be terrifying. It'd be terrifying. Believe me, it's terrifying. Sexy to some, but terrifying to others. But yeah, man, that's what it comes down to. Be careful what you give up for all this efficiency and all this abundance.
Graph go up, we call it.
Graph go up.
Yeah, so it's the libertarians and many moderate liberals just keep arguing, but graph go up. And so what happens is, I was having a debate with this liberal guy, and he goes, "You guys are you don't have kids. Now you're getting rid of all the immigrants, so there's no jobs. There's no one's going to work anywhere, and everything's going to go out of business." And I said, some things are more important than having a restaurant to eat at. I don't need the Thai food restaurant that shut down. I need waking up on Christmas morning with snow falling all around, candles lit, and my family coming into the living room under the Christmas tree or presents. That's what I need. And I don't need 500 million people to do it. But the problem is mainstream liberals that we call them default libs that don't really pay attention just go, I want cheap milk.
Yeah.
The libertarians say it's great that we've brought in all of these third worlders because graph go up. And I said, I go to New York City. You've been in New York recently?
Yeah.
So you go to like the Lower East Side, and what is it? It's an open air fish market now, and it's been that way for a decade plus, and increasingly worse, and it smells terrible. And you look at Zoran Mamdani. He's up on stage saying, "I won," and who's behind him? Somalis in hijab. I don't care about a Somali wanting to wear a hijab. I got no problem with that. I want our great American cities to be of the American tradition. And that means you can be white, black, native, Latino, Asian, whatever. But it means you're wearing a Yankees shirt.
Right.
Not Mogadishu or whatever.
Right. Right.
So
it also means though, holding the individual to be in higher regard than the collective.
yeah.
That's a very, very important tenet. You've got to get back to basic principles. And it's very important to understand why the West has thrived, why the West is somewhere people come to as opposed to flee from. It's also very important to understand why the West is a place where you can be what you envision yourself to be instead of having to be what you have to be, which is what most of the losers of history have had to deal with. And there's a reason for that. And you've got to isolate that. You know, it's very important to understand why Australia, as isolated as it is still a vibrant economy and does very well. It's called culture, government, Western values. They work. They just do, from the scientific method to whatever you want to call it.
You know,
Representative government, really.
I run a company. We got a couple dozen employees. And it's something I point out quite a bit that most people run a business understand. We want to manage our finances better. Mm-hmm. So we do pretty well. And then we're like, let's go through everything and figure out where we can eliminate waste. And as we go through everything, it's always some small thing that's not really worth getting rid of, but together makes an avalanche. Yeah. So what happens in the United States is they build up. So the point is, it's easy to build and establish. It's hard to retract. If we here at Timcast said, we're going to start a new newsroom, and we're going to hire 5 people. Really easy to write those checks and say you're hired. A month later, we're like, oh my God, we don't have the money for this. Really hard to say to those 5 people, you're fired, get out. Yeah. Really, really difficult. So what do we have in the United States? We can function very easily with 100 million people. Prosperous, amazing, and all that good stuff. We don't want population decline in general because of the technological implications. However, because the system has been built up to this point, we have politicians who say, we don't want to retract. We don't want to deal with what that will feel like. So invite anybody into the country. Yep. Phil, the problem is you can't replace an insurance salesman with a Honduran farmer. Mm. You can't replace an engineer or a plumber with a Aragua gang member. Yeah.
And that's something that the left refuses to acknowledge, though. The Democrats and the Democratic Party, they really do have that kind of blank slate opinion about people. It doesn't matter who the person is. People are not particular to what they do. You can just have anyone replace anyone else as if they're just cogs in a machine. And that's not what people are. You can't just have anyone become a doctor. Mm. There was a person that I was talking to on X, and he was saying, "Oh, you know, if we just gave people more money to go to medical school, we'd have more doctors." And I'm like medical malpractice is already the 3rd leading cause of death in America. You don't want you want medical school to be hard. You want the requirements to be stringent, and you want to make sure that the people that are actually graduating are really capable? Because if not, you're going to end up with even higher mortality rate when it comes to medical malpractice. So the idea that you can just replace one person with another person, that you can just bring people in to the country and it'll be the same as people that would be born here, I think that's totally wrong. But the left continues to push that issue because they really believe it.
The right has been talking about that for 30 years, more than that. I remember those conversations about immigration is great, but it should be skilled immigration.
Absolutely.
For the most part.
Yeah, and like,
But, or not even, it's not just about skilled immigration. You want the brightest and best, people that are motivated and want to learn and want to assimilate and want to contribute, And
that's why you make immigration hard.
Yes.
Because then only those who are willing to achieve that and do the work get in.
So just a quick thing, somebody who lived in the Middle East for 8 years of their life, the Lebanese, there are certain cultures that are incredibly entrepreneurial. The Lebanese and the Syrians before the Civil War, when you had an entire generation that wasn't educated, were incredibly, and Armenians, for example, incredibly entrepreneurial, never work for anybody else. They come and they start a business. The same thing with the ethnic Chinese, the Han Chinese. They come in, you can put Chinese people in the middle of the Congo and they're going to figure out a way to start a business. There are certain cultures that really do assimilate well and work well and really contribute to a society. Well, that's an uncomfortable conversation, by the way.
That being said, I'd like to pull up this clip here from Carl Higbie. Women cheering for Sharia law in New York City. Okay, but don't complain to me about women's rights ever again. Let's play the clip and see what this is about.
Sharia law starts now. Absolutely. Zohran Mamdani, Islamic Caliphate, our brother in Islam, Islamic Caliphate of New York, starts today, baby.
God, there is just something so electric, so satisfying about knowing that my MAGA parents, wherever they are probably having a horrible night tonight. Oh, I literally just got goosebumps thinking about it. Like they are in such a bad mood probably about the fact that Zoran just won and Prop 50 is gonna pass. Like, wow. God, I'm sorry. It just makes me feel good that my MAGA parents are probably upset right now.
When the day starts with Dick Cheney being dead, it ends with Mamdani winning. Oh, yes. Oh.
They seem so angry, these poor ladies.
All right, that's it. Repeal the 19th. No, I'm kidding.
They just don't seem happy, man.
The Sharia law is great. Everyone should agree with those women, and if I'm for it. So
Sounds like they're trolling.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah. Because otherwise, I would just say, let's start with you can't vote. Mm-hmm. Okay, Sharia law, agreed. Let's begin with phase 1. You don't get to vote. Phase 2, don't go outside and don't drive.
You're not allowed to leave the house without
Let's go ahead and cover your face.
Yeah,
so safe driving.
I gotta have a talk with your husband.
Would be like paradise,
But it also says something too. That second clip, this woman, she's gone viral for a bunch of stupid things. She doesn't actually know or care what Zoran's going to do. No. She wants people to suffer.
Yeah.
We actually just did a culture war show this morning with Father Ripperger about exorcism and demons. And I was saying I think we're seeing a lot of demonic possession. And I mean that literally, because in my travels, I've been asked questions, but they say, I go to Turkey and there's riots going on, and I'm in Brazil. People tell me, like, aren't you scared? And I'm like, to a certain degree, you don't want to catch a stray bullet or a tear gas canister, but people are predictable. People want things. If you understand what they're trying to do or trying to get, then you don't really have that much to worry about. A guy in Turkey who's upset over what's going on in his country isn't all that bothered by me, an American tourist or whatever. Mm-hmm. Their motivations are money, resources, family, etc. However, what I've started seeing is behavior. This is the lowest level of it, to be fair.
Yeah.
But her statement and celebration does nothing to benefit the human condition.
No, she's a narcissistic sociopath. That's who she is.
But so many people have become this.
You can be.
So the issue that I see, even evil is predictable. Or I should say typically.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, so evil is a good way. I had an acting teacher who said, if you're going to play Stalin or Hitler, you don't play him as a monster. You play him as a man trying to solve a problem. As the actor, that's what you would do, because in his mind, he's trying to solve a problem, right? The problem would be the Jews or this capitalism, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
So when I encounter people who are bad, their actions are motivated by human behavior. So if they beat someone, it's because they're wrath. If they steal from you, it's because of envy and greed. Mm-hmm. If they eat a box of ding-dongs and then wallow in their own filth. It's gluttony and sloth. But now we're seeing intentional self-destruction. She is saying in this video, in New York, where I'm assuming she lives, maybe she doesn't, but we're all going to suffer and destroy our lives, and I'm happy it's happening. That's not satisfying.
I'm happy it's happening because it makes someone else upset.
Yeah.
This is the demonic.
That's the sadistic part of it.
Yeah.
But you can see, maybe I just, I'm getting older. These patterns, I can see how unhappy. Like, how's it working out for you, hon? Who loves you?
Yeah, well, this
Yes,
is
Who do you love?
what happens when Mamdani's commie Mamdani fails, is they're going to say, we didn't communism hard enough.
Yeah, well,
Of course, it wasn't done the proper way. What they don't understand is that it has nothing to do with the person. When you set up a system where you have the great equalizer, which is this government, there's only one way to equalize everything, and it's through force. Now, go ahead.
No.
And I'm going to say that when you create that will draw in the sociopaths that want nothing but power, and they will get rid of the people that have all these wishy-washy ideas.
I figured it out.
Go ahead.
I'm going to move to a blue city full of commies, run on a commie platform. I'm going to tell people like her, we are going
double
to
agent.
take from the rich and give to the poor. We will not tolerate this. And then as soon as I'm elected, I'm going to go through the voter rolls. I would love nothing more than to go to her personally and just walk into her house and take all her stuff from her. And when she's like, why are you taking my stuff? Because you're rich. And there's a homeless guy outside who needs it.
Yeah.
And then, I think it'll be hilarious.
Yeah, it's
because
called
you
theft.
get, you get, sure, but they vote for it.
She believes in that, yeah.
If they say the rich people should be taxed, I say, ma'am, you're rich. And that homeless guy, he gets your stuff now.
Yeah.
And then the best part is you get rid of the commies and you, get to personal enjoyment.
Well, weren't most of the people that voted for Mamdani, weren't they that demographic?
No.
Is that a lie?
So something like 86% of 18 to 29-year-old women voted for Mamdani.
Right.
But that made up 6% of the voting demographic.
Really?
and also 25% of New York's white. So 75% of the city's
It was microscopic.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I think in this instance, what we're seeing here and what we're seeing with that demographic, that, to be fair, made up a lot of the activist base that, propelled Mamdani, is these people are deracinated, which as in they've been uprooted from their cultural environment they grew up in, and they're just completely free in the wind. And those types of people look for other people that are deracinated, people that don't really have anything to latch onto. So then when something exciting comes along, like Zoran, they can latch onto that. They finally have some identity because there's such a crisis inside of you. I don't have an identity. I'm removed from anything I grew up with. You grab onto something like that with all you got, because that's the first time she's probably felt something inside for a long time.
How far away do you think we are from Democrats actively campaigning on killing Republicans?
Well, you've already got somebody who won.
Jay Jones apologized.
Right.
So
but-
we know he wants to, but I mean, when are we going to see a politician? So I think it'll come in waves, but my question is, how long until we see a Democrat say someone, or how about they say, elect me and I will rid you of these meddlesome Republicans.
Okay,
They won't say kill explicitly.
So I hope it doesn't come to that, because as I always say, the conservatives, if the liberals want to actually do this with conservatives, it's such a bad idea for them. Every time I hear somebody talking about violent upheaval and revolution, I promise you, I can look at them. They've never done a contact sport, much less done anything with a gun or a knife. The conservatives I know shoot real straight. And they are very familiar with the world of violence, which is why they never talk about it. Because if you let those dogs slip, it's going to get anyone who studied Civil War and anyone who's lived through a Civil War will tell you it is the worst idea you can imagine. Nobody's going to win. It's the people that are willing to do things other people aren't willing to do, who are very good at organizing and violence, that will take over everything and take everything from you. You'll be a slave.
Agreed. However, I hear from a lot of conservatives like, oh, bring on the Civil War because we're going to crush them, we're going to win.
Stupid.
But what they don't understand is the left may be scrawny, retarded, weak individuals who've never fired a gun in their lives, but they can figure out how to make explosives. And when you're expecting Antifa to march through your streets all tough, like it's time for civil war, that won't happen. Someone will put a bomb under your car and your daughter will get in to go to school and it'll blow up. And you'll go like, oh my God, why is this happening? Yep. Because people who can't fight head on,
that's right.
Conservatives, warriors that fight head on, right? That's the idea. It's like they have gun training. Antifa has figured out asymmetric warfare already. It's been happening for years. They've killed people.
You can look at what was going on in Syria or in any other war-torn place, and that will give you an idea of what it'll look like should something like that happen here. And I've said this a bunch of times. A civil war in the United States will not be, battalions taking the field of battle. It will be your cousin being found in a landfill with his hands tied together with piano wire, swollen up like Mickey Mouse hands with drill holes in his thighs. Like that kind of stuff. It'll be bombs going off and kids getting killed. It would not be a situation where like, there's the enemy, I can attack them.
Right.
It will be more like be like the troubles.
Individual kind of like political violence.
Think about Jay Jones. He said he wanted his opponent's children shot and dying in the arms of their mother to change her views. These are people who are not telling you that they're going to form a faction, raise a flag, march to the city and say, we are asserting new governance. These are people that are telling you, we may not fight as well as you, but we will cause you such extreme suffering you will beg us to stop. So what are the scenarios proposed by these people? It's not going to be that you amass your buddies in your neighborhood watch form a militia and work with the government to stop roving bands of Antifa taking over cities. As I already mentioned, it's going to be one Antifa guy going into a school and shooting 12 children as they pray and then saying the war ends when you decide, but this won't stop until then. Like and that's a scenario we've already seen.
Right.
There will be targeted assassinations. It will be asymmetric because they are weak, but conservatives want to be left alone. They will say
they're law-abiding for the most part, aren't they?
And the left is doing this now. They are saying we'll leave you alone if you give up. And Republicans are going, why won't they leave us alone?
Right. Yeah, it does tap into my darker side. I just can't stand those kinds of people.
Yeah.
I want to. You do tend to chomp at the bit a little bit. It's like,
well, the Jay Jones election was insane.
Bring him up. Just bring up a picture of this fucking guy. Just take a look at him. Fucking guy.
The idea that he said these
I feel
things.
like I could push him really hard and his neck would snap off. Like
I'm pretty confident you could.
Look at him. Look at you.
Well, guess what?
That sweet smile.
Like a funhouse
He
Tiger
controls
Woods.
the entire law enforcement apparatus in Virginia now.
Attorney General.
Attorney General.
I've said this a bunch of times. You can guarantee as a conservative in the state of Virginia, when he's actually sworn in, you will not be able to get a fair trial. You will not be treated equally under the justice system there.
More importantly, so just here, pull this up again. Launching with this. Virginia elects Jay Jones, a man who said he wants his rivals' children to be murdered and dying in their arms, so they change on policy, and that he'd put 2 bullets in that of a Republican.
Yep.
What I believe we will see under Jay Jones, nothing.
Nothing.
You won't see any news stories about Republicans being persecuted.
Oh, no.
You won't see any You won't see any protests being like he just killed a Republican leader.
You'll see it on here. You'll see it on people like
you won't.
Timcast and stuff.
You won't.
Why?
They are not going to go to a prominent Republican leader's house and put a bullet in his head.
Right.
They are not going to go to his children. What's going to happen is that prominent Republican leader is going to get pulled over and they're going to find cocaine in his car.
You think so?
And yes, absolutely. And you're going to see prominent conservatives, and you'll hear a story of a moderate influencer who lives in the Virginia area, and he's been charged with possession of cocaine. This is a really easy example. And we're going to go, that's kind of crazy. I didn't take that guy for a cocaine user. Anyway, moving on. And if anyone ever does say he's targeting conservatives, he'll come out and say, I had nothing to do with this. I don't handle the minutia of day-to-day operations from law enforcement. And police found the man with cocaine. Certainly it's not political. And what actually happened? They will pull over a prominent conservative. The cop will say, I can see what appears to be illegal contraband in the backseat of your car, take him out, and then pull a little baggie of coke out and say, look what I found. This is what when they started arresting Trump's lawyers years ago, people should have recognized where we were at. More importantly, Douglas Mackey, as soon as Biden gets in, the FBI goes to his home and arrests him for a meme that he did not even make. So when people say, Tim, you're being paranoid, I will stress, some people in a chat group made a meme saying, vote for Hillary by text. This guy tweeted out thinking it was funny.
Yeah.
He went to prison for that.
Crazy.
Jenna Ellis was a lawyer that Trump hired to draft a letter about information they wanted to receive on elections because they were challenging it. She was criminally charged under RICO. This has already happened.
Well,
Jay
it happened.
Jones,
That's right. Fannie Willis and Melvin Bragg, whatever his name is, these creative DAs charging sitting presidents, ex-presidents with crimes you would never charge anybody with by inflating and figuring out ways to be creative with the law. And that I lay that at Biden and the whole administration's mantle. The left started this, pre-pardons, all these things. I agree with you.
This is my point about Virginia. So I recently have been talking about, I'm not going to go to Chicago ever again. In fact, I'm probably going to avoid most deep blue jurisdictions. 13 years ago in Chicago, my friend Luke Rutkowski, as well as several others, police tried planting drugs in our car and framing us.
Really?
Wild story. Yeah. Long story that I won't tell again, but that's the gist of what happened. And you can see some of the story reported by NBC News. So I said, at this point, I am going to forego family holidays and going back to Chicago, where I'm from, because I know how evil and corrupt the state is. This is not an issue of paranoia. Charlie Kirk is dead. Jenna Ellis was criminally charged, and she pleaded guilty. And Donald Trump was criminally charged. There have been assassinations, lawfare. After Charlie Kirk was killed, what I'm telling family is they put a bullet through Charlie's neck. Do you think they're willing to do less? So the scenario is, imagine I fly to Chicago, I'm at O'Hare, I get off the plane, and there's 3 state troopers, and they say, Mr. Poole, can you come over here for a second? We received a tip on the plane. Please raise your arms. They pat me down, and then palmed in the hand of the cop is a little baggie, and he goes, yep, look what we found. Mandatory 4-year prison sentence. Tim Poole's off the board. And some people might say, that's crazy, that'll never happen. I will stress it again. They arrested Jenna Ellis. They arrested, I think, 3 of Trump's lawyers. Charlie Kirk is also dead. This man who was just elected to be AG in Virginia says he wants to kill conservatives. These things have already been happening. Douglas Mackey went to prison for posting a picture on the internet as a gag. So when you say, oh, it's not going to happen, you're crazy, sure. Let's say it's 2% chance likelihood, 1% chance. Let's say it's 0.01. If I came to you and said, would you like to purchase a lottery ticket? If you win, you die. Would you buy it?
No.
Well, it's like, okay, the chances.
Yeah, your paranoia is well placed. It's actually very American. What you're really saying is you just don't trust government, and whether it's local or federal, you shouldn't.
Yep.
History tells us that's a bad idea because it's made of people. This goes back to Milton Friedman and everybody else. So I hate to tell you, I think it's worth the risk for you, probably, because I think you're an important voice, but I understand. And I think it's probably the smart, prudent thing to be overly cautious and pessimistic. The only thing I would say is that when you have this kind of corruption, you need at least a cabal. You need a group of people that are organizing this and planning this. And that is where people get caught. What happens is if I say, hey, come over here, Tim, you guys, I want to commit a capital crime, or I want to frame somebody. A lot of times, it better be a family member. And even then that people talk. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. But I'm saying, I think what keeps people in check to an extent. Now, back to your point. Look, it's easy to do this legally. Look at the lawfare. But you don't need a cabal. Right.
So
you just need an ideology.
we've exactly. Yeah. We've Tate brought up Radio Rwanda.
Yeah.
That the media just said enough. These people need to die by any means necessary. Right. And so the fear is with elections. This was in 2020. There were a bunch of weird videos that popped up. Some woman seen running ballots through multiple times, and people were saying, "What's this?" You don't need a conspiracy to steal an election, an ideology. If 10,000 people across the country who have in some way working at a polling location just want to break the law for their ideology, they'll do it, and then you get a stolen election.
Yeah, that is a problem. It really
One
is.
communist cop, and he thinks, I don't need to coordinate with the governor or the Democratic Party. I'll just plant drugs on him. One guy. And then he's going to say, look, I don't know, don't look at me. He had drugs on him. And then what's going to happen? The 2 other cops who were with him are like, they frisked him, and Jones frisked him and found cocaine. And then he says, they saw me frisk him and find cocaine. Jury says, guilty. 4 years prison, mandatory minimum. So
Do you do 4 years for a little baggie?
in Illinois.
What the hell's going on here?
Illinois has
I need a little energy.
Illinois may have changed recently, but
Yeah.
back when I was there, they have mandatory minimums on burglary, drugs, and a bunch of other things.
If they're going to do that, they're going to plant a brick, because that's not going to that's not going to fly. You're not going to jail for that.
I disagree.
No, a little baggie, no way.
I think
I got some lawyers, buddy.
Donald Trump didn't break any laws
Correct.
in New York. He was not accused of actually instructing or committing any crime.
Yeah.
Michael Cohen said, I kind of just knew what Trump wanted me to do. And they said guilty.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're going to prison for a little baggie.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That was an existential election for him. Like, I mean, I thought about whatever you want to say about Trump, and there's plenty to criticize. You got to give it up to the man. They tried to destroy him. He was going to jail, bankrupt, and they tried to kill him. And keep in mind, he got hit with a bullet, and the guy behind him, who was a family man, a fire chief, was
Teflon
killed.
Don.
You know what I'm saying?
Jeez.
And gets up bleeding, goes fight, and then wins an election. I mean, say what you will, man. That guy is tough.
He's got a legion of guardian angels surrounding him.
But to your point, like, should Democrats win in the next presidential election? Actually, not even just the next presidential election. Should Democrats take the House? They're going to go after him again. There will be articles of impeachment brought up. If a Republican doesn't win in the next presidential election, the DOJ will go after him again. They will.
I think
what do
he'll
we
be
do
83 years old, and they will be trying to throw him in jail just for being Donald Trump.
I totally agree with you.
But hold on. There's a maybe to that, and that Trump is so old, we don't know for sure. But one thing I will say for sure is that Bryan Callen is going to prison.
You hear that? You know why? Because I want to be his bunkmate.
Patriot.
I mean that half jokingly. My point is just to say that they're going after way more people than just Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
They're gonna come knock on your door and they're gonna say, "Do you accept social justice DEI as your Lord and Savior?" And if you say no, they're gonna be like, "Well, the gulag is right this way." So
That's the norm in history, by the way.
Yes. Right.
That is the norm.
As soon as they get their paws on the House Judiciary Committee, RFK, they're going to be like, "Oh, he's causing all these problems for kids."
They're gonna go after all kinds of people in the administration, but they're gonna go after people like Tim. They're gonna come after people like you and I, Tate.
Yeah.
Well,
and we're like the small fish here. Like we're
keep in mind,
support
Kane's
players.
box combo, I'm flipping. I'm like, I don't know.
Keep in mind, Americans, for the most part, are very uneasy with that. I'm not so sure the left is winning. I think the left in most of the world has lost this game.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
And this is a very unique time in our history. I think the Republicans are dancing with the devil here. They've got to be very careful. Back to what I was saying, you better figure out a way to talk to people about the economy and stuff. But for the most part, I think the Democratic Party has a big problem because they are very divided. We're talking Shia Sunni divides here. There's a schism here.
Yeah.
You've got these radicals like Mamdani, and you've got a lot of Democrats who are like, hey, I'm just an old school Democrat and I'm a traditional American. And all of this stuff you guys were talking about, the one thing that you have to remember is when you start talking about the transgender issue and DEI, these are very difficult things to apply at the level of detail. Americans inherently, first of all, are suspicious on left and right of what? Of top-down authority and governance. They don't like it. They don't like being told what to do. In many ways, the left and right argue about the same stuff using different language. Nobody really says the Constitution's trash. Some do, but for the most part, it's a threat to our democracy. Both sides are saying that. At least we're still talking about democracy. So I tend to be a little bit more optimistic. A guy like Jay Jones, all you read about is the fact that he wants to kill the opposition. He's a scumbag and everything else. He's got to deal with that. I think that the more radical Americans get, the more most Americans go, hey, dude, I don't have time for that. I need food on the table.
Yeah.
I got to raise my kids in a good place.
Yeah, that's why like I was saying earlier, like the argument that the Republicans need to make is we have policies that will make it easier for you to provide for your families. Not we have policies that are going to give you these things.
Right.
These things that can be taken away by government. We have policies that are going to going to empower you to provide for yourself and and for your family. Because when you give people the power to take care of themselves, they will look at that and they will take action in a positive way, as opposed to when you give people a handout. I mean, it's the old adage of, teach a man to fish, you feed him for life. You give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, right? Like, it is better to give people the ability to act on their own and provide for themselves than it is to give them a government program, because I think most Americans understand that government programs can be taken away. And the shutdown that's going on right now is clear evidence of that, right? People that are on SNAP, if they've never experienced a government shutdown before, they're experiencing it right now. They're like, holy cow, you mean this stuff can stop?
Yeah.
What people have to remember about the American experiment that's so unique to this country is the fact that, and as we have to preserve this at all costs. The reason we never really have pitchforks at the door is because Americans realize there's always the chance I may be poor today, I could be rich tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that potential has to be protected at all costs. That American dream, which may be out of reach, you have to keep that mythology. You have to keep that possibility.
Yeah.
Because that is the story.
Yeah.
I'm poor today, but I'm not envious because I'm going to get my shit together and I'm going to be rich tomorrow.
A country of temporarily embarrassed millionaires.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that's what Trump captured. That was so enigmatic. And this is what the GOP sucks at messaging, because it was like, Trump's good on messaging, obviously, and then J.D. Vance is great on framing. But going into this election, the Democrats are like, hey, these guys are authoritarians, they're fascists, no kings. They had their messaging down. The Republicans 2 weeks away from the election, and they're like, oh, this group chat is full of we got to patrol our own side. There's group chats full of Nazis. This is terrible. What's Heritage doing? All right, no, fire Kevin Roberts. Tucker's terrible. What else is going on? Israel, Palestine. Let's talk about that. And then we're like a week away from the election. It's like, what are we doing? J.D. Vance is the only guy trying.
The fact that
Republicans have got to stop trying to be like Trump. First of all,
Yeah.
Trump. My buddy, I can't remember his name, but he said he knew Trump was going to win the election when somebody said to Donald Trump, they said, "Listen, do you think that Mitch, who is the governor of Massachusetts, the Mormon?"
Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney. He goes, do you think that Mitt Romney, being as rich as he is a liability? And Trump goes, he's not rich. I'm rich. I was like, yeah. He just, that's it. That's a great answer. But there's only one Trump.
Yeah. Yep.
The rest is, man, you better start figuring out a way to say, hey, I'm going to make it better for you.
That's what he did. It was when he was running for the Republican primary, and he did a sit down with Sean Hannity. And at the time, it was a foregone conclusion that a Republican candidate would support a flat tax over a progressive tax. So Sean Hannity just kind of slides it by him, and Trump's like, oh, I don't know. I think I kind of support a tiered tax system. And Sean Hannity's like, why? He's like, because I'm rich, I can afford it. It's like he didn't actually think about it. He was just so slighted that Sean implied that he wanted a flat tax because he was poor. He's like, I'm rich. Of course I want to.
Jeb Bush famously said, you can't insult your way to the White House. Yeah, I can.
There's a lot of people that need to be insulted.
It was so great, low energy, but doing this, he was funny.
The GOP was just chucking up lawyers left and right. And he was like, you're gay, you're poor.
I got to pull this story up. This is a ABC6 Spirit Halloween security guard shot and killed a shoplifter for stealing less than $90. Cops. Notice how they framed that story. Here's the real story. A guy tried running out of a Spirit Halloween after having stolen a bunch of costumes. Or that's the process of stealing. The security guard grabbed him to stop him, as is his job, and the criminal began to fight the security guard. Security guard told him to stop, otherwise he would shoot him, but holstered his weapon. He then pulled pepper spray out and sprayed the criminal as they were fighting on the ground. The criminal flipped him over, got on top of him, and started punching him in the face, and the security drew his weapon and shot the guy 3 times in the chest.
It's fair.
But look how they title it.
Of course they did.
Because they want you to think that the sad, poor, socioeconomically disadvantaged man was walking out and he said, please, security guard, please don't hurt me. It's for my family. And the security guard went,
he was English like that too.
But you.
Yeah.
Just killed him dead cold on the spot.
Yep.
It is Spirit Halloween.
And by the way, that sticks. They know that sticks. They know that when they frame that's
you're in an abandoned Planet Fitness. It's already grungy in there. No one wants to be there.
So
defending your property is the right thing to do.
I want to say this. This is 25-year-old Josiah Armijo working security. I don't know if they have the capability to cover all of his legal costs. I don't think that I could do that, but I could certainly assist. And I'll see if there's a way I can get in touch with his family and provide some legal, financial legal assistance, because we cannot live in a country where criminals are protected.
Correct.
A security guard stopped a criminal. The criminal decided to escalate it to a life or death situation, and the security guard said, I choose my own life, and they've charged him with second-degree murder.
That's
because this is New Mexico, and they're communists.
If somebody's on top of you and you have a gun on your possession and they're punching you in the face, you have to shoot them because they can take your gun and shoot you.
Absolutely.
That is a fact that makes no. I don't think that's going to stick. He's got to get a good lawyer, and that lawyer will just,
Yeah.
It is New Mexico.
That's a great point. If you have, and this is part of the reason why police have to go to deadly force whenever someone's trying to incapacitate a police officer. If someone were to shoot a police officer with pepper spray or try to shoot a police officer with pepper spray, the police officer must escalate to deadly force, because if he is incapacitated, that person can get their gun, and that police officer, and not just the police officer, but anybody standing around, any bystanders, any civilians, they're all in danger.
Have you ever seen anybody get pepper sprayed?
Oh, yeah, I've seen it.
Dude, I was at, and I'll just for the story of how I do a gig. There's this handsome, kind of tall black dude who says he was a musician, kind of a big dude wearing cool clothes, but he was about 6'4", and he was security. And I was like, it's strange, security. And we walk outside, and there's a fight going on. And the guy, he goes, hey, guys, he's really calm, walks up to him and goes, hey, guys, you both got to calm down because they're neighbors. And the guy turns to him and goes, fuck you. And without literally lazy, he just went like this. He went and just sprayed both of them. Literally, dude, he just went like that. Shut up, like that. And they went, there you go. And they both went down. And the girl who was the boy, I guess the girlfriend, came up to him and called him the N-word. Wow. And he went like this. Gang, gang, gang. Now watch. She goes down. I don't know what's going on, but I was like taking pictures. So I go over and I go, what's going on, man? What happened? He goes, just acting the fool. Gets in a little car and just drives off. Okay. Now I'm trying to, I'm sorry. And he looks at the woman and goes, you got to use milk to flush out your eyes. Use milk, you'll be fine. Doesn't say anything to guys. The two guys are like literally spitting, puking. They're like on their hands and knees. It's so incapacitated. I go to help the woman because I don't know what to do. I'm like, get me a water, and I'm pouring water and everything else. And don't put water in her eyes. And that was the end of that. And then I touched my eyes.
Oh yeah. Errors were made.
My face and my mouth, sir. I'm not experienced with this. It didn't go well for me either. That stuff is no joke.
It is no joke.
Woo!
It is rough.
Not in your eyes, man. So you got to shoot somebody if they're going to do that.
I'm sure we've all made the famous mistake of cutting peppers, and then 20 minutes later, you're not thinking about it. And you take a piss.
I've done that.
Yikes.
Oh, yeah. I was like, why is my dick burning? What's going on? Hey, I had to have a conversation with my wife. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. The reason I want to pull the story up is that this is what we're seeing across the country. In these circumstances, the criminals are the victims. This guy, this security guard, is the victim, and they charged him for it. That's insane.
It's crazy.
So now we've got, I think in Philadelphia, $500 or left in theft is not a crime or whatever. It's a misdemeanor or something. Cops won't show up for it. San Francisco, California, it's like $900.
Well, listen, they're locking toothpaste up in D.C. Okay? Toothpaste, my friend.
Well, hey. These criminals, they got good teeth.
You're right.
You got to protect those pearly whites.
You got to protect the pearly whites. But when you have to lock up toothpaste, I don't want to live in a society like that. Bring in the National Guard.
Have you seen what they do in Chicago?
No.
You walk into Walgreens and it's a big empty room and there's 2 tablets and you search for what you want. And after you buy it, someone will bring it out.
Unbelievable. We don't have to live that way.
We don't. It's all
yeah.
optional.
Well, maybe we need how do we live better?
I tell you. Oh, very easy. You let cops enforce the law.
You let security guards stop criminals, and you don't criminally charge them.
Yeah, also you don't say, well, he's a criminal because he had a hard time, so he's a victim. He's a criminal because he's an asshole, and he's got to pay a price. Right. That's just the way it is, dude.
I love this modern justice system. It's certainly not anything close to English common law, where you commit a crime, and the judge just says, guilty or not guilty? And the guy says, not guilty by reason of socioeconomic disadvantage. advantage, and they go free to go. Case
That's
dismissed.
it. My dad was never around.
Oh, that
can
explains
tell.
everything.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But it's true. By the way, fatherless is an issue. But again, another unsexy problem. But it's like it doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want. Sorry.
I think Bukele just demonstrated that all this is just optional. You
Yeah.
can just switch it off whenever you want.
Yeah, I mean,
Go back to this story.
well, you
I
talked
just
to-
saw this. It was on the.
It just caught my attention.
Well, so here's we don't have to live like
You
this.
must have been
Round
annoying.
2. Woman was changed.
You
and
don't have to
chained
live
in-
like this round 2. Yeah.
Yeah, woman was chained in backyard for months by friends who didn't like her anymore. It was I just saw it on the right side of the trending section when we were talking about the security guard. And what is going on?
What'd she
I'll
do?
tell you what's
What did
going
she
on.
do?
Texas,
This
in
is
Austin.
called somebody's kink. Okay.
For months?
Yes, sir. It sounds like she had breaks, but she was tied up. And
Let's hear
she's
the
like,
friends
"Better-
out,
You
you know,
better let
that's
me
all."
out. It's been a month. I'm gonna start screaming. It's like, Yeah, I don't know if I buy this. It just
It
sounds
seems like we're getting one side of the story.
Right?
She could be really annoying.
Right?
You know?
yeah, slavery.
starved?
Slavery is bad unless it's voluntary.
She was starved, restrained, and they were shooting her with BB guns.
What?
Okay, that's okay. You know what? Maybe she.
She was found screaming for help.
Okay, you know, I
Handcuffed to a
rescind
punching
my previous
bag.
Statement.
Oh my God! According
She was naked from the waist down, unable to free herself from rusted
wounds,
cuffs.
Open wounds,
right, yeah, the friends
lacerations,
are the-
swollen wrists, missing flesh on her
Friends are
hands
probably
and
the
feet.
Oh my
Who are these
God.
friends?
Well, are they still friends?
This isn't
Ex-friends?
She had been longtime friends with one of the women in the house and visited often, but said that one day they decided they didn't like her anymore and no longer allowed her to leave.
This is insane.
when you don't like someone,
Look at the people.
Wait, where is this? Austin?
it's awesome.
Yeah.
You know what
Oh,
you know
never.
what
This is
looks-
how friendships
this-
work in
no,
Austin.
This looks like that vampire show on Comedy Central or whatever it's called. What is that? Remember those vampires? It's a comedy. They look like they're vampires.
Well, look at the
might be
house.
vampires.
Look at the house. I could have told you someone was chained up in the backyard there. That's obvious. Look at that.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
that ribbon.
That's in Austin. That's in
What We Do in the
Austin?
Shadows, that show?
Yes.
That's FX, I think.
Is it? Okay.
kinda
What we
always-
do in the shadows.
if I
kinda
saw
always
the house, yeah.
I always thought that, like, if you don't like someone, you want them to leave. You want them to go away.
No, not if they've been naughty. Look at the guy with that D'Artagnan facial.
D'Artagnan.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
He's the musketeer that didn't make it.
Look at all the signs. Friend will bite. Maybe is that what it says?
Friend will bite. Wow. How is this possible? Did they have no neighbors?
I don't know.
It's Austin. It's weird.
Yeah. I remember when I was in Austin recently, and I just heard screaming. In fact, when I was at your show, Brian, the screaming that was underneath your podcast studio, I assumed that was normal.
I know it is. We run a discipline chamber.
The previous podcast guest didn't get along with us too well. We just didn't like her anymore.
Yeah,
Chain 'em up.
That's like that's my joke about just having an English. Anytime an English supervillain has you in their dungeon, they're really polite. I do apologize for your rather restrictive accommodations. Was unavoidable.
Yeah, what's up with that? Why do Americans feel that way about British people?
I don't know. There's something about.
Always cannot.
They have to be polite evil. You know
Yeah,
what I
there's
mean?
something about the way they. I'm afraid of being a nuisance. We have to have you removed.
I'm terribly sorry that the vice is squeezing your balls, but it's on purpose.
I will not lie. This will hurt.
Maybe it's something like serial killery.
Yeah.
To be nice as they're.
Yeah.
But it's
But you
unless
gotta go
they have like a Cockney accent, then they're like really gruff, aggressive.
They have to be big. They have to be fat.
I'm
going to punch you in the face.
Yes. No, you have to be an aristocrat. I'm afraid this. Guy.
I prefer the traditional American. It puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again.
Yes. Yes.
You know? That's the way Americans do it. They
is.
rip your skin off and put it over their skin.
No, the British aren't so. They don't really get graphic about it. They just say things like, "I will not lie. Sin is my speciality."
Well, actually, to be fair, they don't say that anymore. Now they say assalamu alaikum.
It's true.
It's assalamu alaikum. Please,
Sure, whatever.
Tim, please. If you're gonna speak Arabic, please get it right.
Hello.
You speak
God,
Arabic?
shwaya. No.
Because you were saying you lived with it for a while, yeah.
As a kid, I understood some. It's a very difficult language. It's a rich language. Many different versions of Arabic.
Now,
Maybe.
you know,
Habibi.
this is in essence kind of a joke, but not really. The British villains don't say that. They no longer say, "I'm terribly sorry for your accommodations." Now they say Allahu Akbar.
That's,
that's,
a really,
like, not
it's a
really a
really
joke.
good joke, dude. That's a good joke because it's kind of true.
Well, that's what JD Vance, he was at NatCon, and they're like, what do you think is going to be the first Muslim country to acquire a nuclear weapon? He's like, I thought the UK had.
That's really funny.
I mean,
Oh,
isn't
man.
Pakistan already has nuclear weapons, anyways.
I think it's off the table.
Wait, did someone really ask him that? Because Pakistan's had nukes for a while.
Yeah, they've had them for a long time.
Maybe they're posers.
Well, I don't know, man.
Yeah. They are really inbred.
They gotta be
You
ready
can't
for
fake-
that
You're
Indian
pretty
threat.
committed to the bit when you start inbreeding.
Right? Seriously.
Yeah. It's true.
But
I thought
yeah,
I
look,
did that.
when
Oh,
it
yeah.
comes to back to the other story about the guy that was stealing from the Halloween store, like as a society, like we should empower people to defend their property. Right. And I get it if you're like you're a wagey and you're working at Walmart, you probably don't want to put your body on the line for Walmart's, for $45 worth of merchandise from Walmart. But at the same time, people need to understand that there are serious repercussions for stealing. Of course. And the reason is because property rights are fundamental to our society.
That's exactly right.
Property rights are a foundational principle. Without property rights, our society falls apart.
Because you need contracts that mean something.
Yes.
Contracts that can be afforded something.
Yep.
But there's also a simple economic principle in that if the majority of your country is below your median income, you are I shouldn't say the majority, but there's a certain point at which if most people are under the median income, you will get a revolution. Mm-hmm. Because all these, what's happening now, it's not even necessarily the median income, it's the perception. These young people go on TikTok and Instagram and they see everyone's rich. They see these people, they're gambling influencers. They're like, I'm going to bet $10,000 right now. And they're going, why am I broke? Something must be wrong. Mm-hmm. That guy's wasting money gambling. He should give it to me. And then you get enough people, they vote for Zoran Mamdani.
Well, as we've been talking, sometimes I just I step back and I just think to myself, we're having all these conversations about the minutia of what's wrong with America. And then I think to myself, what's going to happen with AI? Like, what's going to happen with this exponential rise in technology and a technology we have? We were just listening to this unbelievable music that's made by a computer.
Yeah.
And I get sad and scared. I start to long for the old days of the buggy whip. I don't want to live in a time when people say I love the good old days. No. You don't want to live before anesthesia. All right.
Yes.
Well, let's start there. Set the bone. We want to set a bone with a little numbing agent, if you don't mind, or dentistry. All right.
Well, they
antibiotics.
They just cut your leg off.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Antibiotics and anesthesia; those are good things. But we are going to get to a point maybe where we start to kind of long for that simpler time. And all of us kind of got. I saw what happened to the room when we were listening to that music. We were all like, "We're fucked."
You know what I love about the antiseptic anesthesia stuff and antibiotics? I was watching the Civil War. It was a show. It was like a fictional show based on the Civil War, and a guy got shot in the leg, and the doctor's like, "That leg's gonna have to come off. We can't save him." And then he's like, "Give him this," and he hands him moonshine. And I was like, "Wait, pour the moonshine on the wound.
That's it. That's
Don't
so
drink
true.
it." And
it's so true.
It's like it was right there, but they didn't know.
They didn't know. But
I'm not very black-pilled when it comes to like AI and automation and stuff. I think that there was just a company that released or started taking orders for a humanoid robot. And it's going to be $20,000, $500 a month, and it will be able to learn to do things in your house, do your laundry, to do your, to clean up your house, to do your dishes. I think that is going to that type of automation, right? Not just at homes, but like those types of automation in all aspects of our society. I think that is going to open up a type of abundance and a type of productivity that humanity has never seen.
Mm-hmm.
Have you played the game Stray?
No, I have not.
Stray?
No.
You play a cat, and you traverse around a city doing cat stuff, but the story is actually amazing. Although they do this weird thing as to why the cat can communicate with robots. It's the only entity left are AI robots that were designed by humans to do work, and humans are all dead. And so what is left of humanity are these just machines with no purpose.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a really sad game, and it's kind of silly because you play as a cat.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that is a potentiality. You mentioned getting these humanoid robots like Optimus. And I was thinking, I don't need Optimus. I just got a kid. Just, give her a few more years, she'll be doing the dishes, and I don't got to worry about it. But the reality is people aren't having kids, and they're buying robots instead. So sooner or later, this really will happen. An old man will have 4 or 5 robots. It'll be like, have you seen the Superman movie? That just came out. He's got a robot named 4 by Alan Tudyk, voices the robot, and talks like this, Superman, and he's just a robot. Well, there's going to be an old man. He's going to have a bunch of those, and they're going to say, Mr. Brown, I've made dinner for you, because they're British for some reason.
Yeah,
and then Tate is going to die of old age, and the robots are going to be like, oh, heavens, he's died. Let's clean up the body. And they'll roll him up into a carpet, throw him in a closet, and then keep maintaining the house, changing light bulbs, whatever they got to do, and no one will know that Tate's been dead for years because the robots will keep doing their
Unless
thing.
it's an embalming robot. But I know what you mean.
To be fair, I think at that point, the robot would be like, I must report the death of Mr. Brown.
Yeah.
And then it'll just phone the internet.
Yeah, you're right.
And then a bunch of robots come, take the body away, and no human interacts with his house.
But then it goes back to this. I think AI is going to usher in the essential question. What are we and who are we? We are not just creatures that chase the sensation. Robots and abundance and all this technology will satisfy our sensations. It'll help me release dopamine. It'll fill me with carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, etc. But at the end of the day, human beings are more than that. We just are, and we need more than that.
Liberals are going to plug their brains into the matrix faster than you can say the matrix.
Good luck with that, liberals, because it's not going to work.
Why not? But what do you mean?
Because I think we're more than that.
No, but what do you mean it's not going to work? What's going to happen?
I think what happens is it leads to some kind of existential angst. It leads to some kind of you cannot chase. It's a little bit like this. You cannot chase just sensation because you'll run out. You will hit a crisis. Look, Will Smith said, I got everything I wanted to the nth degree. You see this all the time. When you get to the top of that wall and you've satisfied every craving from power, status, the best looking women, the best food, whatever it might be, you get to a point where you need more. You get to a point where something happens. Christianity was founded in the soil that was the Roman Empire when it was bursting at the seams with Greek philosophy. All the elite of Rome had their children being tutored by Greek philosophers, etc., etc. It's very interesting to me that this religion that talked about all the antithetical things to Roman culture, like turn the other cheek, might does not make right. The meek will inherit the earth. All these things that were so counterintuitive. Love your enemy. Can you think of anything more un-Roman than that? And yet it created a revolution and took over the world. I think that's very interesting. As I get older, I become more interested in that. I get more interested in the fact that now that we have AI, more people are going back to church. Now, part of that might be fear because they don't know what to do with the future because they can't predict it. So you want to go back to your roots. But something else is going on. You can't just plug your brain into the matrix. Human beings are more than that. We are.
Civilization will continue. Conservatives won't go in the matrix. But look, some fat transgender guy is going to be like, plug me in. And they're going to plug him in. And he's going to go into digital world where he's a 5'6" petite blonde woman. And he's going to be like, this is all I ever wanted and I never want to leave. And then he'll waste away, lose lots of weight, and then die in his pod where they've got roach paste pumped into his gut. And he's going to be like, perfect.
No, because guess what? The next generation will say, I don't want to be that guy.
Next generation are not the liberals. My point is the liberals today are going to plug themselves in and die off.
And just die off.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Conservatives,
that makes sense.
Christian conservatives are going to go, I ain't going anywhere near that Satan demon stuff.
Yeah.
Moderates
You're
are
already seeing it, man.
Agreed.
My daughter was like, I don't go near Twitter or X. It's toxic. I went, wow. And neither do my friends.
Moderates are going to say, hey, look, the video games are fine sometimes, but we've got responsibilities. So you're going to get a moderate, what's funny is what used to be the left. Someone like me, I'll buy the PS10. And I'll play, the new Spider-Man game where you are Spider-Man a little bit sometimes. I've got Marvel Rivals, but I play it once a month, if that.
Right.
And then you're going to have conservatives who are going to be like, this is wrong, don't do it. Then you're going to have liberals who are going to be like, I live in it 24/7, I don't do anything else.
God.
And they're not going to have kids. They're already not having kids.
It's called being an addict.
It is.
Right? I mean.
But look, you've got all these identity crises among the left. They're they got body positivity problems where they wish they weren't disgusting, so they've tried justifying why they're out of shape. You've got furries, you've got transracial. all these people are going to be like, so you mean there's going to be some 300-pound, 6'3", 350-pound obese guy sitting in a chair, and he's going to be like, I'm a cat girl. And he's going to plug his brain in, and then...
I like how all your characters end up being like...
Well, when the faggot talk like
Is that what it is?
and he's going to be like, hey, plug me in because I'm a cat girl. This is not who I really am. And then you're going to be playing passively, and there's going to be this petite little blonde cat girl who's hitting on you, and you're going to be like, wow, she's cool. And then like send me a pic.
Yeah.
Nope.
So this is going to be Jabba.
Have you... right. Yeah. Have you seen the movie Surrogates?
No.
In this reality, there are androids that you can project your mind into to control. So everybody just stays in their house all day. They go into a bed where they plug their brains in and then pilot their surrogate, which looks just like them. So in the beginning of the movie, some woman's making out with a guy. A guy on a motorcycle pulls up and blasts some kind of device at the two people that are surrogates and fries the robots. So they decide, okay, this blonde woman, we're going to go figure out what happened to find the operator. Because the robot broke. The human's fine.
Yeah.
They go to the house of the owner, and they find a 350-pound morbidly obese guy in his bay who was piloting the woman. He's dead, too, which is like the plot of the film. But big, fat, disgusting guy had dainty female robot.
But human beings need meaning. And that whole thing you're describing is void of meaning. The problem, look, not to get religious, but I was trying to write about this, and my special False Gods, everybody, on YouTube. But it's about this idea that this is a false god. The idea that you have this tree of knowledge here, right? You have this phone, and I have all the facts I need. I can get all the facts and all the knowledge, but it doesn't get me any closer to the truth. It doesn't cure my confusion. It doesn't somehow satiate that thing that I need that I can't put my finger on. There's something about human beings, right? This idea that there's a great debate between Matthew Arnold, this is a long time ago, and Thomas Huxley, who is known as Darwin's bulldog. And Huxley was arguing for the idea that our universities should stop teaching dead languages like Latin and Shakespeare. We should be teaching engineering, and we should be teaching math, and we should be teaching science, because that's how a society gets ahead. And Matthew Arnold, who was the great philosopher and poet, said, look, it's true. The United States is the home to the roaring stock market, the biggest guns, machinery, and the NFL. Yes, we're powerful and we're strong. But the reason you teach Latin and the reason you teach Shakespeare and the reason art is the cornerstone of a culture is if you don't support those things, you will be a powerful country, but you won't be interesting. You'll be an interesting culture.
You also forget your first principles.
You forget your first principles. Exactly. And that's what I think is interesting. And that's what we have to get back to.
We got to get this one more segment because we missed it the other day. We've got this video of everyone's favorite Sydney Sweeney, and I'm going to play it for you.
I hope your audience was writing down all the things I've been saying in crayon. All right, keep going.
The criticism of the content, which was basically that maybe specifically in this political climate, like white people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority. Like that was kind of like the criticism, broadly speaking.
I wish you'd fall asleep right
here. Since you are talking about this, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that specifically.
Listen. I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear.
Oh, yeah!
So good. The HR lady trap trying to get you to apologize.
That was I am completely bored with what you were saying. I would just like to stress, however, there's nothing wrong with saying your genes are superior. When you're talking about blue jeans. And I'm kidding.
Sydney Sweeney. And here's the thing.
I'm kidding. I don't care if you think your genes are superior. That's fine.
Yeah, listen, I want to say this too. I really like you. I like you. And I don't know him, but I'm sure he's a nice guy and he's got great hair I want to get lost in. And you've got the hair of an intellectual. You look like you should be British with a pipe. And you're good people. You have a child. But I want to say this out loud. I would stick a knife right in your fucking heart for that girl, okay? If I had to kill all of you, I'd do it in a heartbeat. And I would leave my wife and kids, and this is a terrible thing to say. That's who I am. Look at her right there.
Just everyone starts murdering each other, and she's sitting back there staring.
Sorry, you'll go to a better place. And Sydney, I did this for you. And look at her.
And as we know from Luigi Mangione, she'd be into it. Women love murderers.
They love it. I have a whole thing about that. It's like you love the toxic man. I have a philosophy on that, and it's that when you're younger, you flirt with a toxic person, a manipulative person, and a narcissistic person because they bring out your narcissism, your toxic side, your manipulation. And those are demons that everybody wants to purge. There's something about that the kind of sex that creates. I have this whole joke where the animals in your house are like, something's wrong here. The cat's like, this is unnatural. I'll see you in 3 days. So fucking true, right? Because you're purging something. This is a relationship with yourself when you're with somebody toxic. But women like those demonic males. And there was an anthropologist who said the reason for that is because somehow you have to have that element in female society because it balances out the gene pool. Otherwise, you wouldn't have aggressive men. You'd only have complete betas. So you have to have the extremes.
It's real simple. It's real simple.
What is it? Tell me.
Go back 10,000, 20,000 years or whatever you think. And you have 2 men and 2 women. One man says, someone has come to take my food from me. I'm going to do everything I can to avoid a conflict. He has taken a bunch of my food. I protected some of it. And the woman goes, okay, honey. The other guy has already killed 12 people for no reason. And the woman's with him sitting on a pile of bread. And a man comes by and says, I'm here to steal your food. And he goes, what's 13? Kills him.
Exactly.
Who survives?
That's right.
The man who is demure, the man who is...
That's right.
So I think that the reason why women like 50 Shades of Grey is because I think Phil explained it as they want to. I think you were saying this. They want a man who is capable of extreme violence, but who will not do it to them.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Dangerous Stranger. Have you seen? But they always tame the Dangerous Stranger. The pirate.
Well, I mean, look at
billionaire.
Look at Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, dude.
Like
Literally.
the Beast is literally a monster.
Yes.
Who kidnaps her?
Yeah, he kidnaps her.
Yes.
But she tames him.
Yeah.
She takes the monster.
It's the
and calms
boogeyman.
him. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Women want.
Have you read A Billion Wicked Thoughts?
No.
Oh, dude, please, everyone. It is 2 neuroscientists. I interrupted you. I apologize, but I wanted to jump on this. It's 2 neuroscientists, and they looked at Pornhub's worldwide server to see what people download when nobody is looking. You'll find the countries that are into granny porn more than anything else, and there's a reason for it. It's fucking crazy. And what men like, but also what women like. Women that what are the romance novels that do the best with women? 50 Shades of Grey, when they were running out of fucking rope in the hardware stores.
Whoa.
The kind of rope in the hardware stores in New York City. Yeah. This is right to your point. It's Beauty and the Beast, Dangerous Stranger that only you can tame.
Look, I mean,
Bernie Sanders wrote about this and got a lot of flack for it. He wrote in the 90s that women fantasize about being raped.
Bernie Sanders did?
Yep.
The best women react really, really well if a guy knows that a woman likes him, right? You can't do this you can't just go and be like a woman random off the street that you don't know. Right. But if you're on a date with a girl or you're on a second date or whatever, like women like it when you grab them and kiss them. Like they like
You can't do this to random people.
No,
can't do this to random people.
Women who are attracted to you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like strong men
exactly.
to be assertive.
I'm going to try that. I'm going to try this tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're live. See you there.
Yeah.
On stage, just like you're on OnlyFans, right?
Yeah. Well, aggression, competitiveness.
Yes.
My wife, I was talking to her and I was working on this problem, this idea. You know, I have this business where I do commercials and stuff. And I was talking to her and she was talking to me and I looked at her and I go, I got it. She goes, what? I go, sorry, I just got this idea. I've just been obsessing with this thought. And she looks at me, I think we were dating at the time. She goes, you know, you work so hard and you never stop and you're really ambitious. And I go, I am? She goes, yeah, and it turns me on. And I was like, that turns me on. I was like, this is the fucking greatest compliment ever. I'm get some pot roast on the fucking stove.
Chicks like it if you have calloused hands.
Please don't say chicks. Please say women.
Fine, women.
Okay, no,
women like
I love
it.
Chicks. I'm kidding.
Women like it if you have calloused hands because it shows that you do something, right? You don't just sit around and do nothing. Women do not like dudes that just sit around and play video games. Women like dudes that are active in life, that go out and do things. That, like, women want men that assert themselves in the world, and they want men that assert themselves with them as well.
And when they can sing like you, forget it, bro. Because you,
I
you got swimmer shoulders and an angel's voice.
Rock stars,
Maybe a demon's voice.
Maybe a demon's.
being on stage does help. That's true. Like
think?
they like this.
You can have a hoof and a horn if you can sing and play the guitar. You're in. There's always a subset of women that are in.
It is true.
Comedy's the same way.
But actually, I want to push back a little bit. I think the trope about singing and being a star, it's actually more about being socially above other men.
Yeah.
So
Social status, you mean?
yeah. So right now, there's this really funny video from who did the video we watched with there's the guy and he gets asked, "Do you want to deport illegal immigrants?" He says yes, and then the woman goes, "What?" You don't remember that one?
No.
Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley walks up to a guy and he's like, "Do you think we should deport illegal immigrants?" And the guy goes, "Yes." And then the girl looks at him and goes, and then he's like, "What?" And then Nick's like, "She doesn't think so." And he's like, "Why shouldn't we deport illegal immigrants?" And she goes, "They're not illegal." And then he asks the guy again, and the guy, he's like, "So do you?" He's like, "She doesn't think we should deport illegal immigrants. You do?" And he goes, "I'm not so sure."
Oh God.
Long house.
You're a bitch, bro.
Yeah.
Long house.
But my point is, you're mentioning your daughter's socialist, your son's Genghis Khan. Women want to fit in for safety. Men are the greater male variability hypothesis who challenge.
Yeah.
Men fight each other for status to be the dominant controller of society. Yeah. Women have to agree with other women because that's society.
That's interesting. That's a very interesting way of looking at it. Yeah. Makes
So-
sense.
That guy should have told that woman. He should have said, "Yes, I want to deport them, and I want to deport her too."
Or he could have just said, when she was like, I looked at him, he could have went, "Yeah, if they came in here illegally, they get deported. You got a problem with that? I can go home now." And then she would have been like, "No, actually, I'm really turned on."
So there's that. What the heck was it? There's that show with that Andrew Wilson does a lot with those girls. He has all the whatever. And I guess
The Whatever podcast.
It's the Whatever podcast. But I think I heard him saying, or one of the girls saying, when the guys are on that show and they're taking it to the gals and debating them and really taking it to them and being honest and kind of destroying their positions, guess what happens when the cameras are off?
The girls are like, "Let's go."
They start flirting with him because that's the guy because he knows where he stands.
Are you familiar with what's called the shit test?
No.
So this is like red pill dating psychology terminology. They say that women will intentionally act out to see if the man is strong enough to keep her in line.
Oh, yeah.
And weak guys are not attractive. So the woman might do something that intentionally causes a problem to see if the man can keep it together.
Yes. I've had women tell me that about other guys. Woman said that. She was like, I just want to see if he's going to do anything, and he didn't. And I would just act up. And I was
It's like I shot him and then he didn't do it.
yeah. Stab
Well,
him.
so now you have all these liberal women acting out and all these liberal guys pandering to them.
Yeah.
It must be miserable.
It is miserable. They're not turned on by it.
There was a viral Reddit post where it was got shared by a bunch of Trump supporters. It was a woman saying she was a liberal, but she fantasizes about like ripped, strong guys with MAGA hats on, just like ravaging her. And she's like, "I don't know if there's something wrong with me for thinking this, but it's like all I want." And it's like you want the assertive, strong guy who knows how to run a system to
Look.
have children with you so he can protect them. Like,
Yeah, how about this? A nation defines itself on what it's willing to fight for, but so does a human being. A man should define that. That's what I like about you, actually. It's a good way of describing who you are. Like, it's not easy to constantly fight for what you believe in, but it's really hard also to define why you believe in what you do. You have to define the lines you're willing to fight for and what you stand behind. It's a very important, my father always said that. My father said, never be an intellectual, be somebody, there is an answer. You got to work for it. It's not easy. Earn your point of view. Don't your point of view should not be based on your attitude or your feelings. You should earn it with hard thought, because knowing why your country, knowing what got us here is very important, and knowing what to fight for and why it's worth it is everything.
this is the issue with Bill Maher. He has Christian moral values, but isn't a Christian.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
And
right.
there's this viral video where Ben Shapiro told him he was born morally on third base.
That's exactly
And
right.
the audience clapped. And then Bill goes, and then everyone starts clapping and cheering because it's a point that Dennis Prager had brought up, and then I iterated upon, that these values that Bill Maher, and I'm a fan, I like Bill Maher.
Yeah.
He says we want free speech, we want a sound justice system, all these things, but those are all predicated upon Christian values literally from the Bible.
Right.
He's lost track of that.
Right.
So now he doesn't know where morality comes from, so he assumes people can be moral if they choose to
But
be.
the left talks about this all the time. Look, the idea behind monotheism is what? There's one Father, which means we are all brothers and sisters, which further means we are all of the same moral worth. Our justice system, and whether you're a conservative or you're a liberal, we always say things like this. A wretch on the street's life is worth as much as Bill Gates. Why? Because it's not for us to judge. Well, who does judge? God or the Creator. You cannot say to a judge in the land, whether it's a liberal judge or a conservative judge, I killed him because he was in the way and he was taking up resources and he was a wretch and he was always getting drunk, so it doesn't matter. No, sorry.
But okay, I
like
give you
your Trump
this.
thing.
I
Yeah.
give you this. Okay, the accordion thing.
Yeah.
There is a trolley headed down a track, and if you do nothing, the trolley will bifurcate into two trolleys and then run over a homeless man and Bill Gates, unless you choose which track to go down.
Yeah. Well, Bill Gates has got to go.
That the joke is the easy setup. Everyone is always going to go for the known person. But I agree with you in that the value of an individual is not determined by us here on Earth.
No, and that is a Judeo-Christian invention. Or I don't want to give it total credit but for the most part, that was the contribution of the Abrahamic religions. It just is, especially Christianity, the idea that you are not to judge, that we are all brothers and sisters. And it is the fundamental difference probably between the Old Testament and the New Testament. I mean, Jesus comes along, a first century Jew, and says, look, this book of Leviticus and all this other stuff is really hard to follow. Let's just get a couple simple tenets. Love your enemy, have one God, treat your neighbor as you treat yourself, and that's it. Let's go, and probably makes the world a better place.
We're going to go to the backstage for questions and comments from all y'all that are watching right now. So get your questions and comments in. And I might just scroll back and see what you guys have, but you can tag me at Timcast, and then we'll read some of your questions. Let's see what we got here. Sometimes it just puts the R ... instead of your name. Royal Beasts. Says, today we got a 100-year-old World War II vet in the UK said the sacrifice wasn't worth the result of what it is now. I imagine U.S. vets feel the same. So at what point do we just say, screw it, and crusade this poop? Davis Wolt, anybody? Davis Wolt, perhaps?
What's that?
Davis Wolt?
What is that?
It's the war cry of the Crusaders. It means God wills it.
Oh, wow.
We do like a next weekend on a low crusade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we got Culture War Live this week and we can't do it this weekend.
That's true. That's
and next
true.
weekend we can, retake the Holy Land. I think it'd be good.
Yeah.
Oh, boonies. All right, well, I'll have to check the calendar, but yeah, let's
right.
We'll get a crusade in.
After we're done skateboarding with the homies, we'll consider taking back the Holy
And
Land.
we can do the Holy Land, yeah. We'll need a flight. Hopefully they fix this FAA.
Following weekend is Thanksgiving. Maybe it'll have to wait till December.
Oh, right. That's Thanksgiving.
Might have to.
And they got to get this shut down because if they cancel our flight over there, it's going to be a problem.
Well, I don't know about Thanksgiving because I have a dental appointment the first week of December, or about Christmas, and then of course AmFest is coming up. We'll find time for.
Maybe
the
we'll
Holy
just
Land.
squeeze it. Look, it'll have to be January. We can put it off to the beginning of next year. Things are always kind of chill in January.
January is no good for me because
whole month.
Well,
it's my birthday.
We have skate night early in the month, but then my anniversary is at the end of the month.
Okay, all right.
So I don't remember. I never remember. I've never remembered an anniversary once in my life. You know the day?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Well, actually, because it's funny, what happened was my wife was like, oh, I'm going to my ski lessons, this week. And I was like, okay, cool. And she's like, so I'm going to be gone from this day to this day. And then my mother-in-law goes, you're leaving on your anniversary? And you don't care? And then my wife was like, oh, my God, I totally forgot.
Wow.
And then my mother-in-law. Yes. And then she was like, I thought Tim was going to be the one who forgets, but I was the one who forgot. And I said, okay, I'll be fair. I said, okay, when you brought it up because I didn't realize.
Because you didn't realize.
Yeah.
People always forget their anniversary, but they never forget July 4th, America's anniversary. It's important.
True.
You got to be a
I
patriot.
like that you just saluted. That was good.
That's indeed. All right, let's grab some more. Let's see. The Mississippi gentleman says, question for Callen. What happened to the relationship between yourself and Crowder?
No, Crowder and I talk all the time. He just is in Dallas, and I was flying from LA, and it just got to be too much, frankly. But he's great. We talk all the time. I love Steven.
I think it's okay if you tell the people the truth.
No,
I'll tell. So what happened was Bryan and Callen were hanging out when they saw Sydney Sweeney, and then Bryan tried to stab him in the face.
I did stab him in the face. I cut him. I give him a little warning, but no.
She's mine.
She's mine.
And then he, in Lord of the Rings, when Bilbo's face turns demonic towards the ring.
That's what happened.
That's exactly it.
Damn it, Tim. You and the truth always.
Kevin Adele says, how come the likes of Tucker, Candace, Cernovich can attack the right all day, every day, free from criticism, but the second someone responds, they get attacked for dividing the right? Shouldn't we hold the instigators at least equally as responsible, if not mainly responsible? Well, I can't speak for Candace is kind of all over the place with what she talks about. Cernovich usually talks about the establishment much similarly I do. I call Republicans retarded. I'm talking about the establishment Republicans, especially in Congress, who are not getting the job done. The party is trash. What I will say is, guys, I did it. I'm woke right now.
You're
Made
woke
it.
right. There it is.
Yeah, it's big.
Is that what they're calling you?
So woke right is a meaningless term, and it's used to criticize anybody who doesn't align with like neoconservative, traditional Bushian politics. And someone posted something like, it's a guy sinking with a ball and chain strapped to him, and the ball and chain says woke right. And they're like, why won't we just cut this chain off? And then I responded with, whenever someone uses the term woke right, I take them less seriously. And then I got a response saying, that sounds like something the woke right would say. James Lindsay called me a Marxist.
He did?
Yeah.
So dumb.
Why?
Because these are not serious people.
Right.
They never were.
He's trolling you.
No, he's gone insane. And I think there's a Batya Ungar-Sargon has a really great, it's funny because she might actually agree with him on a lot of things, but she wrote about the influencer versus the, like the civic engagement. She said, what we're seeing is not, well, she didn't say woke right, but the thesis was the Candace Tucker versus Ted Cruz, whatever. It's influencers versus people in politics. People who want to change and people who want to get views. I don't completely agree that defines Tucker, maybe Candace to a certain degree, because she's literally bragging about how big her show is, fairly often. Maybe that matters to her more. I don't want to impugn her honor, but maybe. And I think so. I think James Lindsay is motivated by, he's an influencer. He's not someone who deeply cares about politics. That's why his politics are dejected. They kind of don't make sense. He's just trying to generate traffic to get attention for himself. He's not very good at it. Then there are people like Candace who are very good at it. So
yeah,
that's what we deal with. You'll also notice, I don't know if you saw this, the conservative influencers who all of a sudden came out in favor of giving soda pop for SNAP benefits.
No.
They got paid to do it.
They did?
So when the Republicans were saying no more soda if you're on SNAP, a bunch of conservatives said, the government's trying to tell us what we can or cannot buy. This is unacceptable. They all did it at the exact same time. And it turns out there was a firm that you as a lobby or a company can hire influencers to say whatever you want them to say, and they do it. Famously, one more is a bunch of conservatives came out in favor of India at the exact same time.
Come on.
Yep, because they were paid to do it.
Yeah, this is where you that is the fundamental difference. Then you're doing it for cash. I always just my thing is I don't like being gamed when I find myself sometimes siding with somebody on a visceral level. I'm always wary because a good way to do that with me or a lot of people is if you start breaking this down into angelic versus demonic, good versus evil, I will start listening. But life is a little bit more complicated than that. It's a little grayer. And my one thing I would say about Tucker is that he does have people on a lot of times that create these conspiracy narratives. And I'm not so sure the government is that organized. I'm not so sure.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Joe does too sometimes.
Yes.
So when all this Tucker stuff started happening, I'm very much on Tucker's side. In that I don't agree with most things he's saying. I have some criticism about how he's softly defended Zoran Mamdani. Yeah. Not like he's actually advocated for Zoran or anything like that, but he is playing with kids' gloves with him. But Tucker is an influential personality entitled to his own worldviews and opinions, and I can argue with him, but I'm not going to, how dare Tucker interview someone? His opinions and guests must fall in perfect alignment with what I see the world as. Same thing is true for Joe. They can do whatever they want.
Right.
They're under no obligation to hold opinions that I want them to hold. So it's very strange when people are like, how dare this person host this person? I'm like, well, do whatever they want.
Yeah, I think that what it seems is that if you have issues with, say, for example, Israel's either influence on American foreign policy or Israel itself, I don't think when somebody brings up a valid criticism or something that could be up for debate, I think when you just say that person is anti-Semitic and you dismiss them, that's not working anymore.
No.
It's a great way to give that person even more audience. So there's got to be a different tactic. We've got to be a little more nuanced with this conversation.
But this is how stupid it is. The pro-Israel side are miserably bad at what they do. There's a handful of people I think are good. I just was talking to Gavin McInnes. I was like, Gavin, you don't do this. Like, Gavin sat down with Nick. They talked, and he loves Israel. Excuse me. Batya Ungar-Sargon is Jewish and very pro-Israel, but she will have a calm, reasoned conversation with you. But then there's this, like, people calling me woke right, or James Lilly calling me a Marxist.
Yeah.
This is what they're doing, and that's why it doesn't work, and this is why I'm calling them out. So people were like, James is calling Tim a Marxist when Tim literally said abolish all government subsidies and welfare programs. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Or I refer to people obsessed with Israel as having Israel derangement syndrome. What's happening is these people are literally just saying, you are not in my cult. So I call them woke. That's what they are. All right. Ron Quay says, what helps you guys find the balance of being a loving husband and being a stern husband that knows when to be a bit more forceful? What I would just say is that's not really a concern for me in my marriage.
You can't be.
Alice and I get along swimmingly.
Me too.
There's not a problem being stern and being loving. Like, just because you're stern does not mean that you don't love. You know?
There is no problem or circumstance that comes up where I have to talk to Allison like I'm putting my foot down. It never happens. We like if something comes up and she says like, hey, we have a problem with this thing right here. Here's what I propose we do about it. I'll say, if we do that, these are the things that are going to happen. And she'll go, well, then what do you think we should do? And I'll be like, well, we could do this. It might suck. And she goes, yeah, I don't want to do that. Okay, then what do you want to do? We should go like this. I'm like, okay, well, these are our best options, and I don't think we can do that one, so we should do this one. And that's usually how things
Yeah, I'm going to quote the great Joe Rogan. 20 years ago, he was talking about this girl, and he was like, he said, I don't want to, I think they had broken up. I said, what happened? Or I don't know how long ago it was, but he said, I don't want to control anybody's behavior. I don't want to be. I don't want to control my wife's behavior. My wife is her own entity. I respect her, and if I'm in a position where I have to control her behavior with "quote unquote" my stern nature or whatever, I didn't understand. I don't in Denmark.
I don't understand being the way that I conceptualize being stern is not being controlling. I think that it's being resolute in decisions that you've made or something like that.
Yeah.
More so than trying
there are
to.
Things I'll fight for.
Well, I look at it like, what does it mean to respect your wife? Well, people can interpret it a bunch of different ways. I respect my wife's capabilities on the things that she does well,
right.
And I'm not going to give her respect on things that she doesn't do well if she arrogantly asserts she can when she can't, but she doesn't do that.
Right.
So I can respect it. And then she respects me on the things that I do well. So there are, let me put it this way. As it pertains to matters of baby, she is the authority on all things baby.
Correct.
If she tells me to do something on something related to baby, I just say, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's right.
When it comes to matters of work, security, or otherwise, like I recently told her, if a security incident occurs, I am going to tell you what to do, and you say, okay. And she goes, absolutely.
Yeah. Because you've been rehearsing that in your mind for a long time, and she probably hasn't.
And it's a million factors related to security, and we talked about it actually, and she said, I completely understand. And I said, it's not because I'm smarter, faster, stronger, or better, though I am. It's that there needs to be a singular line of thought as to what is going to happen so that we don't make mistakes. Mm-hmm. If a fire happens and you run the wrong direction, or we both go different directions, it's going to compromise our safety and security. If someone breaks in the front door and I'm intending to shoot them, I can't have you running past me.
Yep.
So if something happens and I say, that door now, don't look back, it means someone's about to die and you can't be in the room. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But she gets it. Then when baby makes a strange noise and she says, I need you to go grab thing, I go, yes, absolutely.
That's right. Strange noise and I'm on it.
Yeah. Well, we have...
that's called symbiosis, man.
Agreed. Like, that's why I get irked by these like red pill dating guys when they're like, a man has to tell a woman. I'm like,
shut up.
A man has to tell a woman when the man is the expert on the issue. And if you were in a relationship where the woman doesn't listen, it's causing you problems, there's dysfunction and it's going to cause problems. But I also think it's fair to say not every relationship is congruent. And sometimes you might have a husband who thinks he's smarter on everything and he's not, or a wife who's assertive on things she shouldn't be. Me, I'll describe myself as being lucky.
Yeah.
There you go.
Lucky's good.
Let's grab this from Your Mom's Juicy. Is it reasonable to say Ben can be somewhat blamed for Nick's radicalization by shutting him out of all the dialogue without having any form of debate to push back on his views?
I don't think so.
I would largely agree with Bryan. I would say to a certain degree, the snowflake. To a certain degree, yes, the snowflake doesn't blame itself for the avalanche. If you have a ton of prominent personalities and they're all refusing to engage with one person, they're all contributing to what that person ultimately ends up seeing the world as. Famously, the Westboro Baptist Church lady, whatever her name was, got de-radicalized by being on X, being on Twitter at the time, and actually being communicating with people, and then realizing her views were wrong. This is like a famous moment. If Nick has no opportunity to be debated, he's going to assume he's correct on everything all the time.
Right.
But if you say, "Come on down, let's talk about it," and you have an opportunity to now say, "Actually, you're wrong about that one thing," he might go, "Well, okay," and that will change his views similarly.
What do you think it is about Fuentes when he says things like, "I'm a fan of Stalin," or "Hitler wasn't that bad a guy," and things like that? He's trolling, right? I had younger guys go, "He's trolling." But
the first challenge is, you may. I don't watch a lot of Fuentes stuff.
I don't even,
and I don't trust.
I saw it on Tucker, and then somebody was breaking out all the things.
And here's the important thing: you just said you were a fan of Hitler. No, you were quoting Nick, but it doesn't matter. That clip now exists.
Yeah.
So there are clips of Fuentes saying things like,
"Right,
he was so cool," blah blah blah, and for all you know,
that's right.
He goes, "Hey guys, you want to see something funny? Watch me say something really stupid, and they'll make it go viral."
Yes. That's what I think. I'm always wary. Like, I think he's like my two buddies. They were like, I said, he did say he was a fan of Stalin. So I was listening to the Tucker thing, and I was looking at, it's okay. He's no dummy, and he's also another guy who doesn't care about being liked. He believes what he believes. And then he said that, and my buddy looked at me and he goes, "He's trolling, bro. Don't fall for that. That's what he does." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm old."
So imagine this. Imagine you want to prove to your audience they're lying to you. So you say, "Okay, guys, I am going to say something right now that they are going to edit out of context and smear me with. And when you see that, you'll know they're lying because you know the full context." So if I said something like, "Actually, I think Stalin was a good dude. I think Stalin was fighting as hard as he could to eliminate the undesirables and create a workers' paradise." Now, I said that intentionally, as it's not the case, but now some leftists will take that clip and say Tim's praising communism. So I think a component of what Nick does is he says the media's all liars. This is what they do.
So I'm going to give him the meat.
Not necessarily. He goes, "Look, guys, I'm going to say this thing right now, and they're going to run it like truth. Thing. Now watch. Give it a week. A week later, there's Ben Shapiro or whoever else posting the clip. He then goes on a show and says, 'I proved to you I was telling you the truth.'"
Yeah, that sounds like a little bit of an adolescence game. Like he did say, without irony, December 16th or whatever is a special date for me because it's Stalin's birthday. I'm a fan.
I think he likes Hitler.
We'll come back to that. That's.
I think Nick does like Hitler. I'm not saying everything he says is that. I'm saying
you do think he likes Hitler.
Yes.
He has this whole story about how he went to his parents and told them that he was a fan of Hitler, and they got upset. He started laughing about it.
Yeah, so he might very well be what they call him.
Well, from his
is he a Nazi? Is that what he is?
His perspective, like, I don't know that Nazis.
He's a groiper.
Yeah, I don't know that Nazis is accurate.
What's a groiper?
It's
I'm old.
It is
These
interesting,
kids.
like how to accurately define groiper. I don't know if Serge or Tate want to take a stab at it, because the general idea is America first, somewhat white identitarian, conservative leaning, pro-traditional, overlapping heavily with criticism directly of Jewish people and perception of Jewish supremacy.
Well, that's the problem right now is like with the current zeitgeist is there's an attempt from people from the pre-MAGA era of the Republican Party that want to expand the term groiper to mean anybody that's like vaguely critical of our relationship with Israel or like wants to reduce immigration, these sorts of things. That's the trap they're trying to set up because they're trying to poison the well for like a J.D. Vance. When groiper fundamentally just means you're an acolyte of Nick Fuentes. That's the fundamental definition.
Right. So you're describing Nick's general philosophy,
right,
and then his fans.
But now the play from a lot of these people is they're trying to expand that term. So that way, when someone gets up on the debate stage in 28 and says, "I don't know, maybe we should like cut foreign aid here, or maybe we should reduce immigration," they'd be like, "He's a groiper," and this is what they did with like the alt-right in
because by the way, the criticism of Israel, who criticizes Israel a lot? Israelis.
Yeah.
Believe me, when I was in Israel, they said if you have two Israelis in a room, there are three opinions. Part of the strength of that country is that there's constant debate. When I was there, people were in the streets, literally protesting the Netanyahu government over the Supreme Court decisions that they were trying to get through. So that is a country that's always had, I think 20% of the Knesset is Arab. The Knesset itself is rented on land that's owned by the Greek Orthodox Church. It is a real democracy in many ways. It's been hijacked in many ways by the hardliners over the Palestinian issue. But
all right, Joey Two Gun says, can we get a board listed on the boonies for the Discord folks? As in, members create designs, one wins for however long it takes to sell them. Then another contest for the next design with a royalty deal for the designer of the winning design. Agreed. Excellent idea. We'll talk to the team about it. So we've got the next, holy crap, the next board series we're doing. It's so good.
really,
So the Boonie skateboards, we've got, it's me, Cody Mack, Jason Ellis,
I love Jason.
Richie Jackson, and then a general Boonies team model. We did 3 boards for the last release. Actually, I think they're going to be on. I'll show you because you know Jason, and he's great. I mean,
He can skate, huh?
he's one of the greatest skateboarders of all time.
Damn, he is.
He's old now,
Yeah,
so
but-
no disrespect, but
That's a big.
so we made these 3 boards. And this was the Primal series. It was animals. Of course, mine's always going to be a chicken. And we made 50 boards. 5 of them were gold serialized, metallic.
Awesome.
So there's the Jason Ellis Wolf. When you highlight, you can see that.
Love it.
Here's the
Good price too. $55, not bad.
yeah, and you get it. There's a chance that one of the boards you receive will be one of the limited edition gold serialized.
Damn.
We have these that are
VK is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. That's awesome.
also don't be gay.
Fantastic.
You choose. These are our permanent models. Declaration of Independence.
What
We've
is
got
that? Is that the Christian cross? The
Which-
Christian national
this?
cross? Yeah.
This is the Independent Skateboard logo. Formerly, they abandoned it because they were called racist for having it.
Right, because
It's one of the most iconic skateboard symbols in the history of skateboarding for 70 years.
really
And they abandoned it. That's what's right there behind me.
abandon that shit after 70
Yep.
years.
People have tattoos of it.
Come on.
So as soon as they abandoned it, I claimed ownership of it, and we've been selling the board, and I own that logo now. That is now a Boonies logo.
Well done, sir.
So the next boards we're coming out with are weapons. And I don't have any mock-ups for you, but let me just say, so mine is I have to be very careful on how to describe this for copyright reasons. It is a 50 caliber anti-material rifle blueprint. I can't call it what it's actually called because they own the names and people, right. So the boards we're doing next, we have 5, I believe. And I think 3 may be done, maybe 2 or 3. We're going to do 50 of each, 5 golden serialized versions of each. And they are basically different kinds of schematics for weapons in different ways.
Really?
Richie's is the best.
Damn.
Should I say what it is?
Is it a trebuchet?
No. Okay. Well, while mine, I'll describe where we're at so far.
I bet I can guess.
Cody's is
know what it
is a Peacemaker revolver
Yep.
on a and it's like old parchment style design.
I know which one you're talking about. I bet I can guess.
The Richie Jackson one.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's a battle axe.
No.
Damn.
No.
Morning Star.
No.
Mace.
You're way off.
Is it a melee weapon?
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is.
What is it? A what?
It's a melee weapon.
What's a melee?
For use for with your hands in direct combat.
So it is a physical. Yeah, it's a physical. All right. Good.
No more guesses.
No.
It is a broken wine bottle. Yes. It's a bar shattered wine bottle.
Bravo.
Yeah, dude, it's the
God.
best one. It looks so good.
Dude, you haven't lived until you've been in a fight and said, "That's it."
There's a terribly racist name for that as well that I'm not going to repeat.
Oh yeah. And then I think Ellis's might be a battle axe
Yeah.
because his is and then we're gonna have limited edition. I don't know what the team one's gonna be, but the plan that we're doing is once a month instead of just the issue is that we make skateboards. And then we put it up, and it's like you can buy it if you want to buy it when you want to buy it.
Right.
And they're just there. And I'm like,
How long you had this going on?
2 year and a half, 2 years.
Okay.
So actually, this board was supposed to the 20th Amendment was supposed to rotate out. This says it looks like constitutional parchment paper with fancy writing, and it says, the 20th Amendment, chickens being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep, bear, and breed chickens shall not be infringed, with the little doodle of a rooster on it.
Excellent.
The sales on this were so high, we couldn't justify eliminating it. The demand was too high. We were back ordered nearly 100 boards of it.
Damn.
And so I was like, okay, we can't stop selling it if everybody really, really wants it.
Yeah.
The reason why they want it, people who own chickens hang it up in their chicken coops because it's a joke about a non-existent amendment to have a right to chickens. So anyway, we are just about at that time, everybody. Smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. You can pick up your Boonies boards. As I mentioned, I believe we in a couple weeks, we'll have the new run of boards will be coming out. Actually, by the end of the month. So it's going to be very, very cool. BooniesHQ.com. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Brian, do you want to shout anything out?
I'll be at the Westminster House of Comedy in Westminster, British Columbia, the 13th, 14th, and 15th of this month. And then Plano, Texas, Mic Drop Comedy, November 21 and 22. Come get some. We're going to be I'm doing some funny. And in BryanCallen.com for all my dates on the road. And False Gods, my special.
Right on.
Let's go.
Thanks, man. This was fun.
Oh, bro, it's an honor to have you.
Dude.
Yeah, super cool.
I wish it wasn't so far away. But listen,
find me on,
for you, I'll get on a boat, a plane. I'll get in a chariot.
X and Instagram, Real Tate Brown. And this weekend, we have me and the great Connor Tomlinson. We just finished taping some content for you guys for the weekend. We're calling it Across the Pond. That's kind of the working name. So tomorrow, be on the lookout on the Culture War channel. An hour of American and British news will be dropping. And then on Sunday, we have an interview with Pat Casey. It's more like a conversation. We talk about the gender divide, how men and women seem to be more far apart than ever. And we break it all down. So be on the lookout this weekend. We got those 2 episodes dropping Saturday and Sunday.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. The band is All That Remains. You can follow the band on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, and Deezer. Don't forget, the left lane is for crime.
We will see you with clips throughout the weekend. Tate's new show with Connor Tomlinson is going to be amazing. And then we're back on Monday. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see y'all then.